Well, they didn't go all local, Tim. They're still running the Dan Patrick Show, 9 to noon, but they went more local, and it's called money. They can make money. You do local talk well, you print money. If, you're a good organization.
Sponsor to 21,000. Sponsored.
Right. Mark, how you feeling today? People want to know.
I feel good.
Okay. There you go. Back to you guys in the studio.
Got some platelets this morning.
Oh.
My platelets, I don't know. She didn't give me the number. They were below 10. When they go below 10, I have to get some.
Okay.
My white blood cell count yesterday was at 0.03. So I have zero immunity right now.
Okay.
And Heath bars are better in the refrigerator than room temperature.
Good to know.
That's my personal opinion.
Okay. I don't eat Heath bars, should I?
I mean, I like...
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this Fat Tuesday. Are you ready? How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. It's a noteworthy day. This was the first day 20 years ago that Mark Miller thought, me and this Moulton guy could do a show together.
We were funny that day.
Okay,
I don't know how many times we have been since.
Right.
But that day we were funny.
Right. Mark was doing mornings. I was doing afternoons. We were working for the same station in Southwest Florida. And Fat Tuesday, and then so we ended up on my show with a discussion about athletes who maybe are a little pudgy, chunky, fat even.
Yes.
And Mark was doing, because when we weren't on the air, we had to go sell advertising. So Mark's driving around selling advertising, and it's late afternoon. And Mark makes his way back to the station and walks right in the studio. And we didn't appear on each other's show.
No, and I didn't try to appear that day. I merely handed John a piece of paper that had like 3 fat athletes written on it.
Right.
And John said, sit down.
Yeah, sit down. There's a microphone right here. Sit down. Let's go. And we did an impromptu hour. I was live on location at Pinchers in Bonita. And Mark was back in the studio. We were probably, 12 miles apart, maybe 10. And it was good. It was fun. It was, it was a fun hour. And I didn't think of it, but Mark, I would find out later, Mark was like, that's when I thought, maybe we could do a show. That was pretty good. And then, funny thing is, the two of us, when Mark was broadcasting hockey, and I'd go to the games and we'd meet up and we'd sit at the bar afterwards and we'd shoot the bull. And we disagreed at that time. We probably disagreed on 75% of everything that was going on.
But it was never with
adversarial.
Right.
Right. And I always found him interesting because we disagreed on a lot. So it led me to hang out more and then want to shoot the bull more. And then, eventually 3 months later, I had an epiphany and went to him and said, hey, you want to do a show together? And Mark's like, well, I've been waiting 3 months for you to come up with that idea. Okay.
We worked out the details in 38 seconds in front of the building that Rick Church is currently in right now.
Right.
And I'm not joking. It did not take more than 4 minutes.
No. Oh, no, I thought you were right in 38 seconds.
You're probably right.
We were just standing there and I said, would it make more sense if we did a show together? And you went, yeah. Uh-huh. And I'm like, well, okay. And then you said, well, what are we going to call the show? And I went, well, Miller and Moulton. It sounds better than Moulton and Miller. And Mark goes, well, I wasn't going to give myself top billing, but I agree. And that was it.
Now, one other thing. There was one other rule that I had. I came with very low demands, but I looked David in the eye. At that time, David was doing a listener draft where listeners, and we took calls then on all the shows, and we don't do it now for a lot of reasons, but David would let people essentially sign up for their team and be that team's GM. And I found it to be NFL draft. I found it to be the worst 3 hours of radio that ever aired, ever. Because you morons were trading Hall of Famers for a third round pick. It was terrible.
We're having this conversation in May. The draft has just taken place a few weeks earlier. And so Mark goes, I only have one demand. Okay. The listener draft has got to go. And I went, what? And he said, I will not do a show with you if we're doing a listener draft. And he starts rattling off. You just did a draft in which Warren Sapp, Michael Strahan, and he starts listing the big time players. They all got traded. I'm not doing that. I was like, wow. I said, that's a deal breaker? That's a deal breaker. I think I joked. I just gave you top billing on the show. I don't care. The draft's got to go.
And that was it. And we were off to the races.
That was it. We went down the hall.
At that point, I was doing mornings, and Mike and Mike was a monster at that point.
Uh-huh.
And I was on 7 to 10. So
yeah, and I was 4 hours. I don't know if I was 3 to 7 or 2 to 6. But we went down the hall, we walked in the PD's office, and we said, hey, crazy idea. How about if we do afternoons? And we run Mike and Mike instead, because we're only running the first hour. We were running 6 to 7, and then because they were 6 to 10, and then you would do 7 to 10. And I said, it'd make it just easier. we don't have a lot of resources. Instead of splitting them, why don't we do it? And he was the only other person in the building who thought it was a really good idea. Everybody else was
no
like,
one else did.
No, everybody else was like, well, they'll be gone in a year. This is good. I'm glad they came up with this idea because now we can get rid of them.
And eventually they would, one by one, and then together another time. And, here we are in act 3.5, 4.
Yeah, exactly. So Fat Tuesday, it's a thing for Miller and Moulton. It has meaning. Never mind the fact, Mardi Gras, and then, tomorrow's Ash Wednesday, and you know what it means. But anyway, that's bigger picture.
And we're both beefy, to say the very least.
See, you're not, though. You're not, but I make up for it. Okay, that's what I think I have enough beef to make up for it.
And I will say one thing that has remained consistent with David over these 20 years is fast food, because just before we went on the air today live, Dave said, one more thing. Did you see what happened in fast food restaurants yesterday?
Did you see McDonald's shares versus Wendy's shares? All the stores that are being closed? Oh, my goodness. This is momentous. And Mark and Rick Church are like, is this really where he's going at 5 minutes to 6? We're about ready to start a show.
That's what we do. That's what we do.
He's going fast food shares? Okay. So
tough morning for me, David, though. Tough morning. U.S. goes down to China in curling. Valiant effort by the boys. But after scoring 3 to tie in the 9th, a mistake late in the 10th, and we lose to China. And I believe that takes us out of the medal round.
Oh,
I think they needed that.
And you have your curling shirt on and everything.
Yes.
Is that a dark green colored shirt with
It's gray.
It's gray. Okay. A gray shirt with an American curling stone.
Correct.
Red, white, and blue is the stone right on his chest on a gray t-shirt. And there's no mistaking it. It's the Rock.
It's the Rock.
The curling Rock, that is.
The stone.
Okay, right.
But yes.
It's right there.
I was ready. I was up. I had it on this morning at about 4:30. Tough day.
Early mornings curling, mid-afternoons hockey.
That's it.
That's how it rolls, at least this week. Here.
I will say one Olympic thing, David. If the women lose to Canada, how disheartening it will be in hockey. Because the U.S. women's team has destroyed everything in front of them. They've shut out every team they've played.
Except one.
Except one. They gave up one goal in the whole tournament.
The whole tournament. They've played, 5, 6 games? They've given up one goal.
Another 5-0 shutout in the semis yesterday. And they have been perfect. I mean, damn near. And now they will play their nemesis, Canada, for the gold medal game.
Yep. And if they were to beat Canada, I think period, but if they were to beat Canada the way they beat them earlier in the tournament, which was 5-0?
Right.
They literally, people are talking about this is the greatest women's hockey team of all time.
Yes.
That's how dominant they've been. I mean, we're talking like 26-1 or 31-1, depending on how many games they've played. Okay, whether it's 5 or 6, it's either 26-1 or 31-1. They've outscored their opponents so far in the Olympics. And here they are. Canada, by the way, barely got to the final.
What, 2-1 in the semi?
2-1 against Switzerland, yeah. So.
And I threw the U.S.-Sweden game on a little late thinking, I'll watch some of this. 5-0. Okay.
Right.
This is over.
Yep. We can only be so fortunate tomorrow on the men's side to take care of Sweden because, man, we got a tough draw. Second best team in the tournament, and we're playing the third best team in the tournament in the quarterfinals. Losers out. Doesn't medal. Bye-bye, so long, farewell. Great. Meanwhile, the team who's seated third has got like a cakewalk draw. It's like, we got the tough draw here.
All started because that region had Slovakia, Finland, and Sweden in it.
Right.
And they beat up on one another, and Sweden ended up finishing third in their group by goal differential.
Right. So, but the big news and we will talk more about this. All right. Yesterday, the passing of Robert Duvall, one of the legends. One of the legends. We've lost quite a few here in the last year. I mean, we've lost Diane Keaton, Robert Redford. We lost Gene Hackman, even though he was retired. I mean, it's been a rough year for that generation. But then again, they're all in their 80s and 90s.
Yeah, Duvall was what, 95?
95. Yes.
Saw a post this morning that Babe Ruth hit 139 home runs after Robert Duvall had been born. That one kind of stopped me in my tracks.
It's funny what we all remember from certain actors. You know, I said Robert Duvall this morning to my wife, and she goes, "Oh, Kicking and Screaming." I go,
wow, really?
Yeah.
That's where she goes. Huh?
Exactly. I went,
that's where she goes.
Huh.
Not Apocalypse Now, not The Godfather.
1 and 2, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Lonesome Dove. Where do we want to go here?
Geronimo. I mean, there's so many great films that he was in the course of an unbelievable career.
Right. And you want to go Juice Box Boy. Okay. That's good. All right.
But it does prove the range that the man had.
Yes. Very
and it's a
much
life to be celebrated. And for some of us in the sports world, well, Harry Hyde in Days of Thunder will stand out.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Mac, were you there amongst your world travels? Or I thought last week you said you were back.
You can get it down to 4, J Gun. Good luck.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That's the hardest part, because you're going to piss off some people with what you leave out. And for me, it would be tough to have The Godfather not win everything, but that's just me personally. He worked. I mean, I've got the filmography in front of me. He worked. That man did a lot of movies.
Good for you, Mac. And like we said, soak it up this year. Plus, there were movies that some people wouldn't even put like in his top 10, like The Paper. I mean, Network, MASH.
Well, that's a we all remember Frank Burns from the show. It was a very dark Frank Burns and a very dark character.
Yep.
And obviously he's not the star of Apocalypse Now. Paul, I never had a doubt. I don't mention restaurants that suck. I take that very seriously. And I'm just going through it. There's a movie that I thought was hysterical. Thank You for Smoking, that he was the captain in, and he was spectacular. And he won his Academy Award for Tender Mercies, by the way.
Correct.
So, I mean,
Right.
Most people wouldn't even bring that up.
He was very proud of that too, because the country, like Willie Nelson and Johnny Cash, thought he was excellent in it, and he said, "So that meant a lot to me that those country guys thought I measured up."
And I've never seen it. That's the funny thing. Like, I've never seen the movie.
I saw his Oscar speech last night, and he beat Michael Caine and three others, and the others didn't really register with me. I'm curious as to the movie that Caine was in.
But it's like that, that reference you had of the story he told on Letterman. He was out there talking about wrestling Ernest Hemingway and Geronimo. Both. I mean, the guy worked, man.
Yes.
I mean, that's the thing.
Yep.
He did 3 movies in 1993. It's like, wow.
Oh, I didn't see that about Elroy Face, Mac.
I can't believe the amount of staff they have here. Like, brand new nurses.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Pat Kirwan will join us in the show today. The owner of the Marlins spoke publicly yesterday. He hasn't done that very often in the 8 years that he's owned the team, and he was pretty emphatic in what he was saying. We're going to have the TV voice of the Marlins, Kyle Sielaff, join us and react to what his boss said. So that's coming up on the show. But Robert Duvall passing yesterday at the age of 95. This morning in the early hours, Jesse Jackson passed away at the age of 84. But back to Duvall. Wow. Doesn't it, when you see his body of work, don't you look around and go, Wow, I haven't done a damn thing. I mean, man, oh man.
Well, I mean, I've got his filmography in front of me. It starts in 1962 with To Kill a Mockingbird.
Right.
I mean, that's where he starts. He was in True Grit in 69. He was in MASH in 1970. He was in The Godfather in 72. The Godfather Part 2 in 74. Apocalypse Now, 79. We're not even to 1980 yet.
Right. And how many lines have you done in your head in all these movies that he did?
A million. He had a part in The Natural. He co-starred in that.
Yes, he did.
He won his Oscar for Tender Mercies in 83.
Nominated 6 times. That was his lone win for Best Actor.
He was in Colors. And then, that's in the 80s. In the 90s, Days of Thunder, Wrestling Ernest Hemingway, Geronimo, Sling Blade, The Apostle. I mean, that's just the 90s.
Right.
And he did movies up until 2022 when he did 2. At the age of 92.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just amazing. That doesn't even get into all the television cameos and shows that he was in that started in the late 50s.
You haven't mentioned Network. You haven't mentioned The Paper. I mean, we all have movies that we remember these iconic actors in. He was remarkable. I mean, when Gene Hackman passed last year, didn't we just go, was there ever anything Gene Hackman was in where he wasn't fantastic?
And, you mentioned Kicking and Screaming because of your wife. That same year, he was in a movie that I found to be hysterical called Thank You for Smoking, about the lobbyist, of the smoking lobbyist, the gun lobbyist, and the alcohol lobbyist. And he was the guy who ran the tobacco companies, and he was brilliant in it. And it was just he was a supporting actor, but amazing.
Not only that, you're doing all these movies and I'm doing quotes from them in my head, and got to let you in a little behind the curtain. So Days of Thunder, kind of a cult classic with Miller, Moulton, and our former producer, John Cassio. He's probably the biggest fan of the movie of the three of us. And so his favorite scene in the whole movie was when Tom Cruise wants to come into the pits, and Robert Duvall, who's his crew chief, supposed to be Harry Hyde, says, pits are closed. And Cruise is like, what? Pits are closed. And he drives by and he sees that they're all literally sitting in chairs with their feet up. And he's like, what's going on? And Duvall goes, we're eating ice cream.
Yep.
Cruise gets honked off and he comes screaming into the pits and he wants to fight Harry, who's still not losing any part of his creamsicle, though. He's like, keep him away from me, and I still got some of my ice cream left.
I mean, it's amazing the amount of work that man did.
Yep.
There aren't many years that he didn't do a film, and most years he did 2 or 3. It is just, it's amazing when you look at it and you forget all the movies he was in, let alone the easy ones that we talk about.
Right. So.
And you brought up something yesterday in a text now. There aren't many left of that generation.
No, I'd say we're down to about 2 handfuls. We've got, I think we're less than 10. Okay. Of that generation, to me, the 80s and 90s. Okay, that's what I think we're down to. Not to be, dark here, but so here's what I got. Jack Nicholson, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Morgan Freeman, Meryl Streep, Warren Beatty, Shirley MacLaine, Dustin Hoffman. That's 8. That I think they're all in the same generation.
Would you put Eastwood in that group?
Oh, there you go, 9. So there you go. So I think we're down to, because Clinton is mid-90s also. So I think we're down to 2 handfuls from that era. And all the movies, oh my goodness, all the movies that those men and women have starred in. So, like someone's recommending Mike Douglas. Oh man,
I don't think he,
I
that's
don't
like
think he's
when
a
David and
legend.
when David and I do Hall of Fame, a Mike Douglas walks up the door but doesn't get in.
Well, and if he does, he's not in the Ruth Aaron Musial wing, right? He's in the Craig Biggio wing. Okay, he's a Hall of Famer, but you come in, you make a right. You, sir, you come in, you make a left. You go down there. That's where the really good hors d'oeuvres are. That's for you. So, and then between the three of us, we were texting, what's the next grouping? Who's in the next grouping?
Well, that's where you got me, because you mentioned Tom Hanks and Tom Cruise in the same sentence. And I'm like, I think of Hanks as being so much older.
Right. And they're 6 years apart. They're both in their 60s right now, 63 and 69, I think. And right. I joked. Can I say it? Can I say it on air?
Absolutely. It knocks you, not me. It makes me feel really good about myself. You kidding me? Go ahead, knock yourself out, David.
So Mark texts and he goes, Cruise and Hanks. One is so much older than the other. And I text him back. I go, actually, they're just 6 years apart. I go, they just look 25, kind of like Miller and Moulton.
But so that, we did, this is, I don't know if it's dark, but it's just the way we think.
Right.
And, Miller and Moulton, we're always advancing the story, no matter what the damn story is.
Right. The problem is, and we'll take suggestions. We would love to do a Robert Duvall poll question. How in the world can the choices only be 4? I mean, seriously. How do you? First of all, you'd have to put both Godfathers on. I mean, if we're doing best movies, you'd have to put them both on it. Wouldn't you?
Yes, you would.
How many people think 2 was better than 1?
And David, Days of Thunder wouldn't make the list, and that would bother you and I. Like it doesn't even come in the top 15.
Now, I will say we could do a Duvall movie in which we go with just kind of like the guilty pleasure movies.
Right.
The Natural, Days of Thunder, Kicking and Screaming, just fun or fun-ish, sports / life, just not, not Apocalypse Now, not The Godfathers, not his character in MASH, which was dark.
But again, Apocalypse Now, while an incredibly dark movie, he has one of the, lighthearted might not be the right word, but Charlie doesn't surf. Come on, it's one of the lines that makes you that you don't laugh. 2+ hours, you don't laugh in that movie.
Right.
You do there.
Yes, you do.
Miller and Moulton, celebrating the life of Robert Duvall. The starting 5. That's what we do next.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Got a cracked window or foggy glass? Don't wait for the next storm to make it worse. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business is just down the road and ready to help. From leaky frames to shattered panes, we've got the tools and the know-how to get your home or business storm ready. With flexible scheduling and our done right promise, you'll be in good hands. So before or after the weather hits, call your neighbors at Glass Doctor.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh yeah.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Hey, Southwest Florida, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. For you that haven't tried us yet, you gotta get in here and try my favorite 5 Chicago-style sandwiches. I got the Italian beef, I got the Italian sausage, the sausage and beef, the Maxwell Street Polish, and our soon-to-be famous breaded steak. Call us at either one of our locations in Bonita Springs and Fort Myers. And guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced jardiniere.
This is Miller and Moulton.
All right, Mac. Okay, guys, are you really? I mean, seriously now, you're going to put. You think Martin Sheen belongs on the list with Nicholson, Streep, Duvall, Pacino, De Niro? I mean, fits the generation, but I mean, don't you think Martin Sheen's like Michael Douglas? Also, Mac, I know Mel Brooks is an EGOT guy. I got it. But don't you think of Mel Brooks more as a producer, director? Yes, I know he won an Emmy for a guest appearance on, I think it was Mad About You. But, I mean, do you think Mel Brooks in the same sentence as Jack Nicholson, or don't you think they do different things? I mean, I don't think Mel Brooks the actor. I think of him as a great writer and producer. I know he right. Like to me, Martin Sheen, Michael Douglas, Hall of Famers, they ain't Duvall, Nicholson, Pacino, De Niro. Dick Van Dyke also. Yes, he's 100 years old, but when you think Dick Van Dyke, don't you think television?
100%.
So,
and writer, Mac, but definitely, yeah, as a producer writer. I fell asleep watching the HBO special on him, or the Netflix special, or whatever one it is. I don't know.
hit the pace car. Hit the pace car. Hit the pace car. Why? Because you've hit every other thing here. You might as well make it complete.
Might as well be perfect.
Who did The Shining again? Not the actor Nicholson, obviously, but was it? Who was the director that did The Shining?
I couldn't tell you.
Because Duvall, because he was one of those directors who did like 70 takes.
Oh, Stanley Kubrick?
That's what I'm wondering.
I didn't think he did The Shining, though.
Yeah, it was directed and produced by Stanley Kubrick. And Duvall thought that was absurd. He said he thinks actually some of the worst acting in movies are in Kubrick movies because the actors are worn out.
Interesting. I saw that. I didn't watch it. I saw that clip that you're talking about pop up when, there was a little round table with some actors or whatever, and they brought that up. I didn't watch it, though.
God, in the next year, we are all going to be flipping through the tube, and he is going to appear in so many movies, and we're going to go, oh my God, that's right. He was in, oh my God, that's right. You should take a look at the cast in the paper. Holy blank. They don't make movies like that anymore. Morning, Governor.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. We've spent the beginning of the show talking about the meaning of Fat Tuesday to the Miller and Moulton show. It's actually how it got started, sort of. And the passing this morning of Jesse Jackson, the passing yesterday of Robert Duvall. A lot of talk about Robert Duvall. Now it's time for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is The Starting Five.
brought to you by Lee County, Florida. Building a better community through BST. They claim it stands for business, sports, and tourism. Okay. What was the B yesterday? Because the S&T were spring training. Beautiful.
Best,
right?
beautiful spring training.
Beautiful.
Although next week it's going to be cold spring training again.
I know.
Holy cow, this has been a wild winter. I mean, we can actually say it's been winter this year in Florida.
I mean, high 80s throughout much of the state late this week and over the weekend. And then early next week, it's right back to 30s and 40s. Nuts. All right, let's start with football. Let the house cleaning begin in Miami. The Dolphins. And when you think about it, none of this should be a surprise. They released Tyreek Hill. Well, he turns 32 here next month. He's coming off 2 major injuries. Don't even know if he's going to be healthy enough to play in 2026. Never mind what he's going to be. Okay, and if they kept him on the roster, his cap hit would have been $55 million. They got rid of Bradley Chubb, which begs the question,
why didn't they trade him at the deadline?
Thank you. And it's 2 years in a row because the year before they had Calais Campbell, who likely wasn't re-signing when he was 38 years old, even though he could still play. And they could have gotten a 4th, 5th round pick for Calais. Might have even gotten a 3rd for Bradley Chubb. Instead,
I think that's a stretch,
nothing.
but anything, a 4th, a 5th, they need bodies. Who cares?
Could have been a conditional 3rd, right? It's a 4th, but if they or he achieve certain things, right? So Tyreek Hill, Bradley Chubb, offensive lineman James Daniels. You probably don't remember him. He was the big offseason signing last year. He lasted 3 plays in the 2025 season before suffering a season-ending injury. And wide receiver Nick Westbrook. The Dolphins will save $23 million minimum in cap space, $30 million if they decide that the releasing of Chubb is effective immediately. This is what they gave up, Mark, for Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb. For 4 years of Tyreek Hill and 4 years of Bradley Chubb, they gave up a 1st, a 2nd, 2 4ths, and a 6th for Tyreek and a 1st round pick for Chubb.
You know, I know, and it doesn't look good in hindsight, but I would be hypocritical to say anything bad about the Chubb trade. When they did it, I thought it was the right move. I did. It didn't work out.
He had a really good year last year, and he was double teamed as much as any defensive lineman in the league. He's going to have value out on the free agent market. Obviously, a decision still has to be made on Tua, a $56 million cap hit if they keep him, nearly $100 million cap hit if they don't. Offensive lineman Trey Johnson. He spent most of his career with the Redskins / Commanders. Then he became a Maryland high school history teacher. He died suddenly at the age of 54. Cleveland, the Browns have hired Mike Ruttenberg from Atlanta to be their defensive coordinator. And the Seahawks hired 49ers tight end coach and run game coordinator Brian Fleury to be their offensive coordinator. So the Seahawks, who had given every indication that they were staying in-house, go outside the house. By the way, did you see Kittle?
Just going to bring it up. Kittle not happy.
Wasn't it one or two words that he used? Was it I'm sad or just sad?
Sad.
Sad. College football, we mentioned it yesterday. The MAC is going to add Sacramento State for this year. Sacramento State is going to write a check to the MAC for $18 million after they write a check to the NCAA for $5 million.
This does show you one thing, David. And I forgot which school I said should just go independent. It shows you as an independent how hard it is to schedule.
Right.
That's why they're not doing this because they want to play in the MAC per se.
No.
The MAC's the only conference that would take them. Correct. They need games, and this is where it lies.
And that's Connecticut's struggle right now. Okay, Jim Mora Jr. actually got they're pretty good, 8-9 win program, but they're having trouble year in, year out putting a schedule together. By the way, Sacramento State football only. Okay, not joining the MAC
good
for the
for
other
them, by the
sports.
way. Smart.
Well, same with North Dakota State, I believe. I believe they're just football only in the Mountain West. Big Ten, circulating amongst the Big Ten schools, a detailed 24-team college football playoff, which would eliminate conference championship games, have more home playoff games. It would be a 16-team tournament in 27 and 28. It would be a 24-team tournament in 29, 30, and 31. And right now, that's as far out as we can go with all the television contracts. Obviously, for 2026, we are running it back again at 12. Olympics. It'll be the U.S. and Canada for women's hockey gold. The U.S. beat Sweden 5-0. They've allowed one goal the entire tournament. Playing like the best women's team in the history of the sport heading into the gold medal game. 41-year-old women's bobslayer Elena Myers-Taylor won gold for the U.S. by 4/100ths of a second, her first gold in her fifth try. The U.S. also won a bronze in the event. The U.S. has 19 total medals, which is in third, 6 gold, 8 silver, and 5 bronze. But a big defeat this morning. We now go to our international curling correspondent, Mark Miller, for a live report. Mark?
David, things did not start out well for the Americans. They fell down 5-2, having a rally with 3 points in the 9th end, but a bad stone by Duncan in the 10th kind of set up a double hit for China, who would make the play and move on with the victory.
Double hit, huh?
Yeah, the double. He put the stone, he put the block way too close, allowed the double, down go the U.S.
Baseball. Padres extend general manager A.J. Preller. No terms on for how long, but his contract was up in a year. It's significant because, well, the Padres are going up for sale. So this way, everybody in the organization knows who's still running it. Mike Trout's 34 years old, and he's moving back to center field. This doesn't make any sense, but he's thrilled. because he didn't like playing right field last year. Of course, he only played a month in right field, and then he got hurt, and then he was a DH the rest of the year. But the Angels apparently have no other options in center field, so they approached Trout and said, would you mind going back to center? And he said, oh, I'd love it. Twins right-handed starter Pablo Lopez ended a bullpen session early yesterday because of, quote, a little bit of elbow soreness, unquote. Isn't that like a mild heart attack? A little bit of elbow soreness? I mean, if you have any elbow soreness, isn't it a big deal?
Yes. Because we all know what that means now.
Right. And he missed most of last season with varying injuries. The Twins say they're just using an abundance of caution. 75 innings pitched last year for Lopez after being very durable the 4 years before that. College basketball, Michigan, the new number one for the first time in 13 years since the Trey Burke team that went to the final. Michigan got 60 of the 61 first place votes. Houston got the other one, their second. Duke third, Arizona fourth, UConn fifth. Gators come in 12th. Miami of Ohio's 25-0. They're 22nd. Bama back in the top 25 at 25. Kentucky is out of the top 25 in mid-February. Wow. By the way, second-ranked Houston had a 10-point lead down the stretch last night in Ames, Iowa, and blew it. Got outscored 17-4. Sixth-ranked Iowa State beat the Cougars 70-67. Third-ranked Duke humiliated Syracuse at Cameron 101-64. You want something to watch tonight? Well, the Gators are hosting South Carolina, but number one Michigan's at number 7 Purdue. And by the way, Wisconsin back in the rankings at 24 at Ohio State. An absolute must-win for Ohio State if they're going to have a shot to make the tournament.
I believe the Buckeyes have both Wisconsin and Michigan State this week. So a huge week for the Buckeyes if they're going to make the tournament. Wisconsin, by the way, started out lousy, but they've beaten Michigan. They've beaten Illinois. They've beaten Michigan State. And I think they've beaten Purdue. So they have great wins on their schedule.
Yes, they do. By the way, going back to the weekend, the Buckeyes played one of those neutral court games in which they blew an 8-point lead late and lost to Virginia on a neutral court. That would have been a really big win for the Buckeyes. That's why this week's Big Ten schedule feels like an absolute must. And the NBA All-Star Game ratings are in. Now, you got to just look beyond the headline. The headline is the NBA All-Star Game is the highest rated All-Star game in 15 years. Did 8.8 million. Well, there's a couple of significant factors, though. One, it was on NBC. And for most of the last 15 years, it's been on Turner. Secondly, do you know what the lead-in was? It was the Olympics. You know what the lead-in audience was? 26 million. And then the NBA did it for 3 hours and they got 9. But here is something that's noteworthy. Year in, year out, the highest rated All-Star game is the baseball All-Star game. Last year's Major League Baseball All-Star game did 7.2 million. NBA just did 8.8. Oh, by the way, the Pro Bowl, 2 million. That's it. They're not even doing 4 to 5 anymore. They're doing 2 million. They're doing the New Mexico Bowl is what they're doing. And at 9 minutes before the hour, that was starting 5. 5 big stories you need to know. Brought to you by Lee County, Florida. Building a better community through BST, business, sports, and tourism, or a beautiful thing called spring training. For those wondering, Daytona ratings expected to come in later today.
The NBA ratings were premature to come out. They don't come out that quickly, but they were so good that NBC got out every bit of information they could get out the minute they had their hands on it. They were stoked about the number that they had.
And they're trying to get out day after day the Olympic ratings, so Olympic overnights, if you will. So they combined it because they did the Olympics noon to 5, 5 to 8 NBA, 8 to 11 Olympics. So they just, so it's a quick overnight view. That number could change by a couple 100,000 viewers either way. But that's why those ratings are out. Daytona's ratings likely to come out later today.
So there you have it.
Yeah.
A little bit on the ratings, a little bit on the sports world. And I did find it ironic yesterday, David, that some bigger outlets than Miller and Moulton reporting the same thing that we talked about yesterday, you in particular, with how honked off the NFL is at NBC, and will it cost them their television rights to Sunday Night Football?
It's going to. Write it down. It's going to.
Just think there might be a couple more people listening than I expected. And at least,
listen, we said this a year and a half ago. I mean, they got this NBA TV deal done a year in advance. And we pointed out, we go, how in the world could the NFL be happy that NBC's given more money to the NBA than to them? For the number one rated primetime show in the country for 15 years, they get to pick their games. They literally get to pluck the best games of the week away half the season and put them on Sunday Night Football.
And the first half of the season, they set up their schedule in a way that we get pretty good opponents. Sometimes the games don't work out because the team's not as good as we thought they would be.
Get ready, Southwest Florida. The Southwest Florida Ag Expo is back. Now's the time to save big with the Mega Pass. Your all-in-one ticket to the fun, one low price. Get you one-day admission and unlimited midway rides. Mega Passes available online through February 26th at swflagexpo.com. Don't wait. Grab yours. Get ready for roots, rides, and real fun. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
I love finding that special buy, that one-of-a-kind item that I know nobody else has, that we're proud to show and represent.
Don't be intimidated. Our sales team is not commissioned. They're here only to be here for you. They're here to educate. They're here to listen to you, listen to what your needs are, and help you find the perfect diamond and marry it with the perfect ring. You're going to find it here. It's here. This is what we do, and this is what we've done for over 20 years.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This is Miller and Moulton.
been getting a lot of Tosh.0, whatever his real name is, clips in my feed.
Okay.
He's awful, and I love his jokes. He does a bit about, talking about the Olympics. First off, he just rips the Winter Olympics. He goes, it's just basically a sport for rich white kids, all of them. He goes, you think skiing's a big deal in the inner city? But he does a thing on gymnastics about how diverse our team is. He says, we got an Asian girl, we got a black girl. He goes, who's not diverse? The Chinese. Who's on their team? They are, and here's another joke that's going to get you mad at me. I mean, they're awful. He is something, man. He is funny. You better check your morals or whatever at the door when you listen to him, because it is not for everybody.
Nope.
But it, to me, he's like, there's not anything you can't make a joke about. I mean, he tells jokes about handicapped people. He tells rape jokes. He doesn't care. I mean,
excuse me.
I have a small list in front of me, David. I don't know where you wanted to go here, but Adam Schefter just put, teams can apply franchise or transition tags today through March 3rd. And he's got 8 guys listed. And one of which now, from when he posted this, word has come out that they're not going to tag him, and that's Kenneth Walker. But I didn't know if you wanted to do it. I mean, we got Pat coming up in an hour, so I don't know where you want to go here. If there was something you wanted to.
We can do it again. I mean,
Oh yeah, I mean.
So yeah, sure.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Fat Tuesday. Thanks so much for being with us. Pat Kirwan, 1 hour from now, about 90 minutes away from Kyle Sielaff, the television voice of the Marlins. Their owner, Bruce Sherman, he went public yesterday, talking about his expectations and what the organization's all about. He hasn't gone public very often since buying the team. So we'll get Kyle Sielaff's reaction. Marlins coming off a surprising season in which they were actually in the wild card hunt late in the year for an hour and a half. And are they going to be in it again this year? So Pat Kirwan, Kyle Sielaff next hour.
It is one of the teams, David. When yesterday we got into a little bit of a baseball discussion, more of a macro than just on anything. And you brought up the Twins ownership. The Marlins ownership, that's another group right there. When you look at who needs to be all in. I mean, if these owners are ever going to get on the same page, this is a team that has never spent. I mean, a handful of times, and we all know what's happened after. And yes, they've won a ring. They've won 2. But they've broken everything up after, and they've not been able to stick with it, and fan support hasn't stuck with it. So I don't blame them per se for the direction that they've gone in. Now, they've been a mess as a franchise for a lot of years, but aren't they on that same list as the Twins and the Pirates of, if the owners are going to figure this out, they've got to get on the same page as everyone else?
The Marlins payroll right now, barring a late signing for this coming season, is less than $80 million. Well, we were talking about it yesterday. Don't you think the floor is going to have to be around $1.50?
Yes.
So
that's double. I mean, that's nearly double what they're spending right now.
Right. And the question would be, can they afford that? Also, they're one of the teams that is losing their, direct, their cable deal. They're going to go Major League Baseball. They're going to make a lot less money. I don't even know if they're profitable with a $76, $78 million payroll. I don't. Now, maybe the money they get from the big market teams makes them profitable, but I don't think they're profitable on their own, especially with them not getting the FanDuel money that they were getting. And they were getting, by the way, one of the lowest amounts of all the teams in their FanDuel deal. So, that's the question. I mean, if you're Bruce Sherman, you're like, don't you think he's saying to Rob Manfred, listen, I'll do what you want to do, but what's the deal you're going to put together? If I'm losing the income, if I'm losing my cable income and I'm losing my Dodgers, Mets, Yankees money, tell me how I'm going to have $150 million payroll and pay the bills?
Do you think long term, and I think we've talked about this before, but it's been a while, do you think long term that this is actually a viable franchise in the sport?
No. I said it last week. I know for 20 years they can't because of the lease, because the city of Miami and county, they paid for that stadium. And I know the franchise cannot legally move, but I really wonder if that franchise has to go to Orlando, because the money from the ownership, they want a team, and supposedly the ownership group they've put together and the money that they've got sitting around, if Major League Baseball were to ever tap them on the shoulder and say, okay, you're up, is enough to run a team with $150+ million payroll.
Can you really have a team in Tampa and a team in Orlando? I mean, if you're Tampa, don't you have to do everything you can do humanly possible to block that?
Of course. Of course. But I'm just saying, I don't think the Marlins right now are economically viable if Major League Baseball gets the deal that they say they want to get during the next labor strike, or whatever it's going to get called.
And I think the point that David made there that you need to pay most attention to is not whether or not the Marlins could spend the $150 on salary. It's, could they spend the $150 if they're not getting subsidized by the teams who are spending the big sums of money? That's the part of that, to me, that you have to remember, because in order to get the Yankees and Dodgers and Mets and the Red Sox and the others to go along with any sort of ownership agreement going forward, they don't want to subsidize these teams. So if Manfred wants all the TV under one umbrella, what's the concession that they're going to have to give them in order to do that? Well, to me, David, it's just what you talked about, the subsidies that are going to the lower payroll teams.
At the very least. Never mind, what's the Marlins TV deal going to be going forward? Is it going to be through Major League Baseball? Is that going to be a tiered payment structure through Major League Baseball, or is everybody going to get the same check like they do in the other sports? Never mind the likelihood that the Dodgers and the Yankees and others would never agree to throw their TV rights into the MLB package, that the MLB package may get 23 teams or something like that to agree to negotiate a TV deal, but you ain't going to get the Dodgers and the Yankees and a few others. No way. They ain't going to do it. They're not Wellington Mara and the Giants and George Halas and the Bears from the 60s. They're not. It's too late. 60 years have gone by. They've paid billions for their franchise, or that's what they're worth, and they ain't giving up the cash. They ain't doing it.
So that is, part of the conundrum that we're in with trying, and we've talked about this at length for a while. The owners are so far apart with one another, and we haven't even gotten to putting the CBA in front of the players yet.
Now, if you listen to the new Rays ownership group, they have been asked, hey, going forward, what's your payroll going to be? Because the Rays payroll right now is under $100 million, I believe, for next year. And what the Rays ownership group has said is, if we get the stadium and the entertainment complex around it, a la the Braves, that we want, we will definitely be making enough money to field a $150 to $175 million team on an annual basis. But that's why we need the new stadium. That's why we need the complex around it, because we need to cash in like the Braves. So, without it, they go, we can't.
There's a huge gap. There are 8. Yeah, there's a huge gap. There are 18 teams that are spending $180 million plus this year. The 18th team right now, Kansas City and Seattle, are 17 and 18. They're both at 181 and change. Cincinnati's at 19 at 146. So at this point in time.
So there's a $35 million gap between 18 and 19.
And the Athletics, Milwaukee, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, St. Louis, Colorado, the White Sox, the Rays, the Nats, the Cleveland Guardians, and the Miami Marlins are all spending less than $132 million. Miami's case, it's not even 80 right now. But Cleveland's only spending 95. And the fact of the matter is, how shocked is anybody going to be if Cleveland's in the race in the AL Central?
Right. So anyway, that's the finances of baseball. Now, there's a few of those teams that you have to acknowledge, Mark, on that bottom 12.
And, here's Milwaukee, who I glitched a little bit there, David. I'm sorry. So, but you look at like Milwaukee, obviously they're a contender spending 130. Don't know if they will be this year, but that division's pretty wide open. It's for the Cubs to take, but it doesn't mean they will.
No. And in fact, I think Milwaukee spent a little more last year, but because they're losing their TV deal, they've cut expenses for this year. Now, Colorado and St. Louis can spend more than they are. I mean, that's the great, it's not mystery, but it's almost a scam as why is Colorado so bad when they're top 10 in attendance and the revenue they generate is tremendous, and yet they're bottom 10 in payroll. I mean, the Rockies, their fans should truly revolt. Their fans need to start staying home if they want to change the behavior of the franchise, because they're suckers and the ownership's printing money. But the Rockies and the Cardinals can up their payroll. They've done it before. They can do it again. It's how many of those other 10 teams, Mark? Name the teams that are not St. Louis and Colorado that are in the bottom 12. And you have to wonder, can they truly afford in a new system to spend 150 to 175 minimum every year? I mean, we're talking what?
Well,
Pittsburgh, Cincinnati,
David,
Milwaukee.
Cincinnati's right there. I mean, they're 147. So Cincinnati's really close. But the Twins, I think, can. There's no reason why they can't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, their
You
ownership.
talk about it all the
unfortunately-
time. All the Fortune 500 companies in the Minneapolis area, the population base there. That's a big boy market. The radio
Right, it is.
network they have is one of the best in sports. The White Sox should be able to. The
Uh-huh.
Nats should be able to.
And have in the past.
Cleveland, to me, should be able to.
Yeah, they would argue.
I
they
don't
can't.
know about the Miami Marlins, David. I don't know about the Miami Marlins.
Yeah. I
Because
think
even when they're decent, no one shows up.
correct. That's the problem. That's the problem.
Miami,
Even if they're
it should
decent.
be. Everybody thinks it should be a baseball town, but it's not.
So there you have it. The economics of baseball, present day and going forward, and why the strike is going to happen. Why we're not going to have baseball next year. Because their finances are a mess compared to the other sports. A mess.
Miller and Moulton. When we come back, well, we can start applying tags. Who's going to get one? There were only 2 last year. How many will there be this year?
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Faro and Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Faro and Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Faro and Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
This is Miller and Moulton.
kind of relief if they had kept Tyreek Hill without restructuring his contract. He would have cost them $55 million against the cap. So by releasing him, they saved $23 million. So, or thereabouts.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Mark is with us. Not at the moment. He'll be back, but he is with us today. Pat Kirwan coming up at the top of the hour. Kyle Sielaff, television voice of the Marlins, also next hour. Dolphins making a lot of news yesterday by releasing Tyreek Hill, Bradley Chubb, offensive lineman James Daniels, and wide receiver Nick Westbrook. They're going to save anywhere from 23 to 30 million in cap space, but the big decision is Tua. Is there any way to unload him and not have to take the full dead cap hit of nearly $100 million? Whether they're taking it at once or splitting it over 2 years. Can they, some way, shape, or form, trade him at some point in time this offseason? Even if they accept almost every single dollar of the trade and do it in a way where they can save themselves a full dead cap hit. That's what I think they're trying to do. We'll see if they can pull it off.
So Adam Schefter put out a post, I don't know, in the last 12 hours. Don't know exactly when it was, but talked about the fact that teams can begin applying franchise or transition tags.
Right.
And David, when this came out, it maybe I'm wrong. Help me out here. You're better at this than I am. But when we first started being able to tag players, whether it was a franchise tag or a transition tag, some teams used both. It's seemingly every team used a tag. Last year, there was two. Two guys were tagged last year. And he has a list of 7 potential tag candidates, one of which is on the list. Since he put this out, people are already talking that Seattle is not going to use the tag on Kenneth Walker III.
I wonder if, Mark, they're saying that because they're already far enough down the negotiations road that they know they don't have to. Because if I were Seattle, that would be in play. Now, I know I got 3 members of my secondary that are free agents. I know that. So I get they probably want to have the tag stored to keep one of those guys. But I don't want to lose Kenneth Walker if I'm Seattle. To me, the tag would be in play.
It would be for me as well. And what I read was they're trying to get free agent deals done, and it's like they don't have enough money for everybody because they want to extend JSN as well. So we shall see. But George Pickens, would you tag him if you were Dallas? If you can't work something out?
Yes. Because to me, the strength of their team is their quarterback and their top 2 receivers. Okay. And whatever it is they're going to do, that has to remain as big a strength as it's Burrow and Chase and Higgins. I mean, yes, I would.
Now it has 2 potential tags for the Colts, both Daniel Jones and the receiver Pierce. I'm fascinated if they're going to use it on Jones.
Curious, by the way, what is the quarterback tag? Does it say?
It doesn't, but it's got to be a pretty penny now. Now we've got a lot of guys that are in the mid 50s. So I would think it's got to be 52-ish.
Yeah, for whatever reason, the tags don't seem to be as high, but I'll look it up right now. But you would have to think it'd be mid 40s, right?
Right. So I'm just,
like last year it was 40. It was 40 and a quarter last year. So,
and I'm seeing 47.3 for this year.
Okay. Oof.
That's a big number for Daniel Jones.
That sure is.
Man, he's starting to jump into the Kirk Cousins land of, boy, do I get paid a lot of money to not be good.
I was going to say,
I mean, not bad. You know what I mean? He wasn't bad last year, but come on.
I would even put him closer to Sam Bradford because I don't think he's in Kirk Cousins' class of a player.
I don't even mean as player. I just mean the business acumen part.
No, but the same. Like Bradford was
right.
able to make over $200 million, and I don't know if at any point in time he was good.
Right, and Bradford was the last guy to sign before they had the rookie scale in.
Yep.
And not only did he get that contract, he ended up getting one more, which was crazy. What about Pierce? Because, one of the things I did see today is that Pittman, their other receiver, they could save, $20 million if they cut him. I can't imagine them cutting Pittman.
Well, they may force a restructure. What is interesting, and this kind of goes along with all of this, like you were talking Seattle, and can they afford it? Well, now every team can still, I think the new NFL season begins in 3 weeks. So I
March
think
3rd.
Is it March 3rd? Is it that early?
Well, that's when they can apply tags through is March 3rd. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think the new year is like the 11th or 12th.
Okay.
So I think it's 3 weeks. Now, teams between now and then can do what the Dolphins did yesterday. The Dolphins got the first start, but the Dolphins were way over the cap. The Dolphins are just trying to get cap compliant. But like Seattle, for instance, today, before they cut anyone or before they restructure a contract, Mark, they've got over $63 million in cap room. I mean, they can sign 2 of those guys in the secondary. They can sign Kenneth Walker. Now, I don't know if that's enough money to also do a JSN. I think it is because the JSN money's not going to kick in until 2 years down the road.
Right. Exactly. And they just put some of that signing bonus on for this year, which would help them out down the road. But you're right.
Right.
See, I mean, of the teams, of the good teams, I will say, in the top 10, New England's a top 10 team with cap space, the Rams, the Steelers, the Bengals, the Seahawks, and the Chargers. And then you have, and Washington has a bunch too. They were good 2 years ago. So that is fascinating. All right. Back to other players and what your thoughts are. Kyle Pitts, would you tag him?
No, I would not.
I'm with you. Kenneth Walker, we both agree that we'd tag him. Trey Hendrickson, would you tag him?
Well, no, and because he's coming off a hip injury, and so no, I wouldn't. And I think he's 31.
And then Breece Hall's the last one on the list. And we talked about that before. There's not a lot of offense there. I can't let him go.
Right.
And to get him for one more year, it's seemingly cost effective for the Jets, who we know are not going to be good, but they've got to have something there.
How, if you're a Jets fan, like today, they haven't cut anybody or restructured a contract. They have $79 million in cap space. How can you lose Brees Hall? Seriously. If you have to overpay him a little bit, hey, man, it's the price of doing business. You suck. You traded away a bunch of the good players around him. He doesn't necessarily want to stay because he doesn't believe in you guys anymore. But if you need to keep him, you're going to have to pay him. And you can't claim you don't have the money because you got it. There aren't 4 teams in the league got more money than you right now. The reason why the Colts are really stuck, Mark, is if not Daniel Jones, then who?
I know.
And with Daniel Jones, they were 8-2 before he got hurt.
What do you think he would take? Not what you would offer, because I think you and I are similar in what we would offer. What do you think can get it done with Daniel Jones?
Well, Daniel Jones is a lot like the Mannings. I think he has the same representation. And if you remember, he played hardball with the Giants coming off one good year. And the Giants didn't want to tag him. And he ended up getting 40 for 4 when he had one good year, period. And that's all it was also, was good. It wasn't better than that. So, Mark, if that was 4 years ago and the price for quarterbacks has only gone up, and even though the Colts can play the Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold card, at 45 plus.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense.
Right.
At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Isn't Sonny this year technically a senior year? Because this is his 4th year.
They're going well. I mean, I don't really have much to say other than they're going very well. My immune system is down to 0 right now, which it's supposed to be. I feel great, which has surprised yes, it's my curling shirt. Valentine's Day gift from my wife. One of the best ones she's ever got.
Is that ice cream?
Banana.
I got you.
You can't let Baker get to that point.
Left Twix, I like all 3. So, they've each only played a year because even though Arch has been there 3 years, he's only played 1. So I'm curious to sit back and watch them all next year. Well, Sonny, I do think that that's what's in play for Arch. That the Manning family, I mean, there's a lot of people who believe that the reason Peyton came back to Knoxville for his final year was because the Jets had the number 1 pick. And they didn't want the Jets.
I wouldn't play for that man if I could avoid it.
And that was 30 years ago. I mean, Pat had the number 1 pick, and Peyton went back to college.
That's a pretty good banana.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till Pat Kirwan joins us at the top of the hour here on Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Reminiscing quite a bit throughout the show about the passing yesterday of Robert Duvall, the legendary actor at the age of 95. This morning, Jesse Jackson passed away at the age of 84. But kicking it around, as we always do. Talking a little football, though. The Dolphins kind of got the offseason going yesterday with a couple of high-profile cuts, saving anywhere from $23 to $30 million. That just got them cap compliant. Still haven't decided what they're going to do with Tua. I mean, we know what they're going to do with Tua. He ain't going to be with the team next year, but it's just a matter of how they're going to pull that off. So it's going to cost them a lot of money either way.
Either way, that just how much of it are they going to eat it all in 1 year? Are they going to eat it over 2 from a cap standpoint? Pelican Roofing of Florida text line is open. 21,000 is the number. If you've never texted the show before, you need to text the keyword Miller to 21,000, then let us know what's on your mind. You know, with the Dolphins doing that, I am curious. We knew it was coming, so it's not much of a surprise. But if you're a Dolphin fan, you go, all right, we're running our organization properly. Or do you just have your head firmly in the sand until, I don't know, the draft, until the end of this year? I mean, it seems so hopeless for Dolphin.
And I don't think it is. Okay, but it is for 2026. They're not going to be good this year. And we, from the middle of last season, for what it's worth, this show was trying to tell Dolphin, guys, this is going to be a total rebuild. You're going to have to address it. The cap's a mess, all right? I mean, if they had kept Tyreek, he would have been over a $50 million cap hit this year. Okay, so you just knew that. Never mind Bradley Chubb, Tua, et cetera. And it's clear now. The new guys got the job, and they got the job by saying, we're tearing this sucker down.
You know, it's similar in a way to me as the Saints. for years, you and I had been talking about, and everybody in football talking about, they just keep kicking the can down the road. Sooner or later, it's going to come get you. Well, it finally came to get them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're starting to get their house in order.
And they're a year away, though. Like, they took it on the lumps this year, okay? And they've got this year, 26, to also take it on the lump. But they'll be in actually really good cap shape for 2027. They'll be out of it. And amazingly, they may have found their quarterback and not in the first round. So you think about that as an organization. If in 2 years, I could say to a Dolphin fan right now, Mark, it's going to take 2 years. Okay. And at the end of the 2 years, your cap's going to be in really good shape, and you're going to find your quarterback. He's going to already be on the roster, and you didn't have to spend a first round pick to get him.
I don't know a Dolphin fan that wouldn't sign up for that. If they are, they're not smart.
Right now. So, now the Dolphins are a long way to that. But the Dolphins can be in excellent cap shape next year if they pay the price this year. Like, if I'm the Dolphins, I'm trying to take Tua and all of it this year. I'm not trying to go like 58 and 36. I'm like, let's eat it. Let's eat it all.
Now, the Jags have some moves to make because they're not cap compliant right now. So watch the Jags make some moves here in the next couple of days to get themselves and their house in order. The Bucs are cap compliant, but there's not a lot of money left over for Tampa Bay. And they'll need that to, sign free agents, fill the roster, etc.
But, there are tough moves that every team can make to all of a sudden be, wow, we got money. So we'll see if some of these teams will make them. I think the Dolphins will. I'm telling you, I think the Dolphins are going to be a total teardown. Like, I think Waddle's not going to be on the team after the draft. Okay, I think there's two guys who are 30 years old, Mark, left on the Dolphins roster. Two, after the cuts yesterday. Two, Zach Seiler and the kicker. Okay, wouldn't shock me at all if there's no 30-year-olds on the Dolphins in training camp. Wouldn't shock me at all. So I think it's going to be a total teardown. I think that's how he got the job.
Well, and we've talked about this. This is how you have to interview for it. You've got to be able to tell people the truth, sometimes even if they don't want to hear it. And I think enough people told Stephen Ross the truth that he's finally listened.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's good that they went outside the organization. And we've been saying for years, it just seems common sense to us. If you're going to go outside the organization, don't you hire people from a consistently good organization? And then you decide who those organizations are. Are they Ravens? Are they Packers? Are they Eagles? Are they Chiefs? Whichever ones in which you're like, man, I like the way they conduct their business. Okay, that's a good, solid organization. They make good, solid football decisions that are never in trouble, roster-wise or cap-wise. Isn't that where you should hire your people from? And so it turns out Miami said, you know what? We like the way Green Bay's doing it. We're going to go the Green Bay route. Well, since the early 90s, how many times have the Packers been bad? Twice? And their quarterback was hurt both years? All right. So I'm willing to give these guys a shot. Please. We gave all the last grouping a shot for years. How could you not give the current guys a shot? Doesn't seem to make any sense to me. But I wish the old GM or the interim GM had traded Bradley Chubb the year before, traded Calais Campbell, and I wish they had made the deal with the Bills for a 1 and a 3 for Waddle. Now, maybe they'll get more. Maybe. But I wish they had made the deal. And if I'm the Dolphins, I have to admit, I might be more interested in 2027 draft picks than 2026. Because to me, there's no sense having a guy on the team this year. I'm just burning a year to free agency. Well, why do I want to do that? I'd rather have that same guy on the team next year when I feel like, okay, I can hit the ground running now. We got a clean cap. We got money. Let's go. Now, you could argue it'd be better to have them for a year. They get a year experience and what have you. Okay, we can have that debate. I also would want to sit down with my college scouting people and go, so which draft do you think's better? 26 draft or 27 draft? I mean, it's clearly better for quarterbacks in 27, which is another reason why if I'm making these deals and I'm the Dolphins, I'm stockpiling 27 picks because I may need to trade up to get my hands on a quarterback. So give me as many resources as you can. So like the Waddle deal, if a team's willing to give us a 1 and a something else, a 2 or a 3, give me the 2 or a 3 this year. Give me the 1 in 27. I want to stockpile first-round picks in 27 because I have a feeling I'm going to need them. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Pat Kirwan coming up at the top of the hour. By the way, I know we kind of went through this list, but money to spend right now before any further moves. Titans with $99 million. Raiders with 88. Chargers with 82. Jets with 79. Commanders with 66.5. Seahawks with 63 and change. Bengals at 52.7. Steelers at 44.7. Rams at 41. Patriots at 35. That's your top 10. And as Mark pointed out, it's nice to be a good team on this list, huh?
Right.
I mean, the two teams in the Super Bowl are on the top 10 list of money right now available. Now, remember, teams can still release guys. Do what the Dolphins did yesterday and create lots of cap room. So this list can change mightily. And teams that right now look like they don't have a lot of money could end up with $30 million in 3 weeks to spend. They haven't cut anybody yet.
But not just the Super Bowl teams. You already mentioned the Rams are at 9 on the list. They were in the NFC Championship game. Denver's at 14. So, the top 4 teams are all in the top half of cap money available without having to cut anybody else, and they all will. I mean, they will all make moves. But particularly to me, David, when you look at Seattle and Denver, Seattle's got a bunch of free agents. I think Denver's got a couple. They're able to keep their guys. They're able to extend guys right now with this money and put themselves in a really good situation, not just for next year, but for down the road.
If you're a Super Bowl contender, I mean, there's all sorts of rumors right now. There was a guy based out of Houston who last night said CJ Stroud's available. I don't think that to be the case, but we are going to find out here soon. They got to pick up his 5th-year option. I would think they would. But, I mean, wow, can things change in a short period of time in this league, huh? But, what would you do, Mark, if you're a team that's close and, boy, you could really use an impact player on defense? You're the Patriots. You're the Broncos. You're the who am I thinking of? You're the Bucs, even.
To me, Patriots and Broncos don't need an impact player on defense, but
okay. Where am I thinking here? You're Jacksonville? And the reason is, what are you willing to offer for Max Crosby?
Well, I think it's the Bucs to me are the most fascinating one there. Because come on, what do the Bucs need? They need an edge rusher bad.
Uh-huh.
And Now the Bucks are, they've got like $14.5 million. They can make cuts, so they're fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'd offer 2 1s, 2 2s right now.
Wow, that's a lot. You'd get them. I think you'd get them.
I'd like to spread it out over 3 years, not 2, if you know what I mean. But I'd make that offer.
My guess is they'd want the 1s in back-to-back years, and you'd be spreading out the 2s. But I think you'd get them. If you're Buffalo, would you? And by the way, the guy, Brandon Beane now doesn't have to answer to anybody except the owner. If you're Brandon Beane, you want to make an impact? Okay. How about Max Crosby? I mean, we could make the case.
You're going to have to overwhelm them to get him.
Okay. You just offered 2 1s, 2 2s.
No, I know.
If I'm Buffalo, I'd put the same offer on the table.
Right. Now, is Myles Garrett available at Cleveland? I know they've not talked about him, but here's Cleveland. They're bad. They're $20 million over the cap.
Right. Well, but also this is where it gets interesting. Does taking Myles Garrett off the roster help their cap or hurt their cap? Because in some instances, like with Tua, the Dolphins, from a cap standpoint, should just bury him third string this year and not play him. They'd be better off, because then I think his cap hit this year is 56. If he's not on the roster, the cap hits a lot more.
But Buffalo, Jacksonville, Detroit, even though Kansas City didn't make the postseason, we think of them as a contender. Those teams are all over the cap right now, because Detroit's a likely. If you're bringing up Max Crosby, they'd love to have someone on the other side of Hutch. They would.
If you're Detroit, by the way, who do you need to get rid of right now? If you need to create money, and they've got like 8 guys signed to significant contracts, where are you going?
Wow.
Can you get rid of Gibbs? Because you could get a lot for him.
Because Gibbs doesn't get paid that much. That's not going to help them. Montgomery helps them more.
Well, but Montgomery's leaving. Montgomery's already raised his hand and said
he was, and now he's said maybe not.
Okay.
They've got this McNeil on the D line that they're paying a ton of money to. I don't know how much of that's dead cap. I'd get rid of him right now.
But I'm going to love the next 2.5 weeks. When the Dolphins decided to start getting rid of guys yesterday, I'm like, oh, great. Because now the floodgates are open. Good. Here it comes. And you're going to be surprised, the guys that get released in the next 2 weeks. You are. Pat Kirwan, to talk about that and a lot more coming up. Kyle Sielaff in 45 minutes. The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. Capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Hey, Southwest Florida, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. For you that haven't tried us yet, you gotta get in here and try my favorite 5 Chicago-style sandwiches. I got the Italian beef, I got the Italian sausage, the sausage and beef, the Maxwell Street Polish, and our soon-to-be famous breaded steak. Call us at either one of our locations in Bonita Springs and Fort Myers. And guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced Jardiniere.
Get ready, Southwest Florida. The Southwest Florida Ag Expo is back. Now's the time to save big with the Mega Pass. Your all-in-one ticket to the fun, one low price. Get your one-day admission and unlimited midway rides. Mega Passes available online through February 26th at swflagexpo.com. Don't wait. Grab yours. Get ready for roots, rides, and real fun. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
I
sound.
love finding that special buy, that one-of-a-kind item that I know nobody else has, that we're proud to show and represent.
Don't be intimidated. Our sales team is not commissioned. They're here only to be here for you. They're here to educate. They're here to listen to you, listen to what your needs are, and help you find the perfect diamond and marry it with the perfect ring. You're going to find it here. It's here. This is what we do, and this is what we've done for over 20 years.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Hey, Pat.
How are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
I like hearing that. I'm fine. Just living through whatever you want to call this.
Remember, people can hear you.
Good. Help.
And another thing, right?
Yeah. Ba-dum.
Hey, Pat, it's Rick. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Rick. I see you down there. A little dark shadow, but you're there. I see it. Absolutely.
The shadow knows.
Shadow knows. That's right.
I don't like bright lights in the morning.
Yeah, I hear you. My wife's still sleeping. She'd probably like me to turn these lights out. Kind of shines in there a little bit. I got brothers coming like crazy this week. Oh, the Blades. Friday night, they lose in overtime. Saturday night, it's 0-0. First period, 0-0. Second period, 0-0. Third period.
Oh, my God.
Overtime, 0-0. And they lost on the fourth shootout. Jeez, it was like torture. Like the little team from Maine's pretty good.
What are they? Were they the Lobsters? What are they?
What
Mariners. Maine Mariners.
Yeah. I don't know if they came from somewhere else and they moved. I don't know if the Newfoundland team is still there. But anyway, they got a nice young goalie. They're like the youngest team in the league. Blades are the oldest team, but it's not a lot of difference in age, 24 to 27. 27, David, pretty old to be in minor league hockey, isn't it?
Yes, very.
Yeah, the Maine Mariners have been around a while. I was running the broadcast, and the announcer said it's the first time they'd played them here at Hertz Arena in 5 years. So
yeah. The Maine Mariners have been around since 2018, apparently.
I got you, but and we don't see them in the playoffs, but I think we will this year. They're pretty darn good.
Who?
Maine Mariners are a pretty good little team. They move the puck. They're good. But I didn't know them because they've never come here, but I've been going to games longer than 5 years, so I never saw them here. And number two, I never see him in the playoffs. So I know one thing. When Newfoundland won, I think the place almost went broke trying to get to Newfoundland for games.
No doubt.
Remember, they switched the schedule. They didn't have a normal playoff schedule.
10 seconds here.
All right. Hello, Mark.
Morning, Pat.
I knew you didn't have it on because I watched you come in there.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Halfway home on this Fat Tuesday. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Kyle Sielaff, the television voice of the Miami Marlins, will join us in about 35 minutes' time. But it's that day and time where we welcome Pat Kirwan. He of NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, CBS's NFL Today show. Pat joins us courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, over a dozen locations in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. So the Dolphins got the offseason started yesterday in a big way, but there's going to be a lot of teams doing this. Did anything that the Dolphins did yesterday surprise you?
No, I think most of it's been more than rumored. Tyreek especially. Chubb, we all talked about. But it's starting to back up on him now, and you guys know that. But for the listeners, you're starting to get yourself in a bind here. Hill, 28. I'm just going to round him up. 28 million. Ramsey's still in the books for 21 million. Armstead's for 11 million. Chubb's for 24 million. You haven't even gotten to Tua yet. And yeah, I know all about June 1st and all the business that goes on, but that's just credit card business. That's just prolonging the pain. They're going to keep going, I think, but they also have 7 starters out of contract and going to be free agents and 10 backups out of contract. So you're going to see, and there's a couple other guys that are just, on the outside looking in on the roster, but they basically have 25 guys out of contract to go along with all these cap hits. I think if you go this far, you got to go the distance here and purge the whole thing and tell your fans we're going to rebuild it. But people don't do that. They always like to say we're reloading, and the fans know when they're not doing that, and it'll frustrate them. So it's kind of a tough time for Halfley to go in there and try to win right away. Personally, I'm pretty sure you guys won't agree, but I think they should just keep Tua for a year, for cap reasons. And I don't want to hear about June 1st. That's still a major dollar number. And they could be more than 50% of their cap absorbed in dead cap money. That you can't run a football team that way.
It does make the most sense cap-wise. I don't think they'll do it. Pat, we just pointed out that all of the teams that were in the championship games, Seattle, Denver, the Rams, and the Broncos, are in really good cap shape. Talk to me about the good teams that are, like Green Bay's over the cap, Houston's over the cap, Detroit, Jacksonville, Buffalo, Kansas City. I know they didn't make the playoffs. They're way over the cap. When you look at the good teams, the teams that we think of as, Super Bowl contenders, looks like they've got to make a lot of moves.
Well, they will, and you got 10 new head coaches. They're not going to want to keep the guys that got the last guy fired. Famous quote from Bill Parcells as he spoke to the team. He said, most of you guys were here and you got the last coach fired. You won't be getting me fired. And out they went. So there'll be a lot of volatility. To your first point, though, about the teams that were good this year, part of that is most of them have a quarterback on a cheap deal, right? Even Sam Darnold's deal is cheap. I think we'd all take that deal in a minute. And some of the others are playing rookie contracts. New England rookie contract, Denver rookie contract. So when you have that, we all know from the days of Seattle, when they had Russell playing good on his rookie deal, they were all good football teams. Sooner or later, you got to pay your quarterback. And I think the three of us have voted on this many times. Is anybody going to pass on their quarterback because they're $50 million a year now? No. They'll regret it, but they'll do it. They all do it. Who lets a 28, 27-year-old starter who's good, not even great, just good, out the door? They don't. They always talk about it, but no one ever does it.
Well, there's some interesting players. Like if you're Detroit, it does seem as if you're going to have to make a hard decision or two. Like I think David Montgomery's easy. His cap hit this year is going to be $8.4 million. You can't have your number 2 running back with an $8.4 million cap hit. And if I'm Montgomery, I'm not going to play ball with the Lions because cut me and I'd be the starter in Houston. I'd be the starter here. I'd be the starter there. So, to me, that seems easy. But teams that you think are going to have a hard decision to make, like I think Detroit's got to get rid of somebody. They got like 8 guys that they're really paying. I think they got to get rid of somebody. Okay, do you?
Yeah, it's the evolution of every team. You peak for a run, which we all thought they had a shot to the Super Bowl. You retain the services of very good players. You didn't feel like you were a one-back football team, back to Montgomery. You were very happy to have his services, and now you're at the point you let him go and you get a rookie to come in there and back up Gibbs. That's how this works. And it works for the team that doesn't have 2 running backs who might say goodbye to Joe Mixon and say, you're our new guy. So it works like that for everybody. It was the original theory, which I think has been blown up by the Patriots and the Chiefs, that there'll never be a dynasty in the salary cap era, but there have been. You just got to stay ahead of the curve, and the old Belichick rule, let him go a year or 2 early, not a year too late. And negotiating with Montgomery, I wouldn't do it. I'd say, thank you very much for all you've done. Let me go into the draft and get a nice young running back. That kid out of Washington's a big bulldozer, right? 230-pound guy, and go do something like that. That's how this has to work. Plus, they've got that. This is the other thing. Mark's a Lion guy, so we've talked about it before. They had 2 good drafts in a row. And what happened? All those guys, you're going to have to let good young players go soon if you don't watch it. So time to throw some guys off the lifeboat. And the personnel people are going to have an opinion of who, and the coaches may have a totally different opinion. So that's where sometimes there's friction.
We've talked about Buffalo for a while, Pat. I think we're all of the opinion they paid some players far more than what it turns out they were worth. When you look at the Bills, what do you see them doing? Because they're not cap compliant. They need players. So where are the tough moves that the Bills have to make, or are they in a little bit of trouble heading into 2026?
Well, it's never trouble because you just take the axe out and do it. It's unfortunate sometimes, but one of the things and one of the reasons you have a new coach is maybe Sean McDermott was fighting some of those moves where he felt loyal to those guys. It's easy to be up in the front office and be sitting in your ivory tower making objective decisions. The coach is facing the players day in and day out, and he knows when a guy played really hurt, but he did it for the team. He doesn't want to let those kind of guys go. So there's always a philosophical conflict about who should go. But when the numbers show up and you're over, I think we have 12 teams over the cap. That happens every year. But you start asking yourself, how are we going to handle this? That's why GMs want the power of the roster. It's for now. It's not for during the games. It's for now. They don't want to be told by the coach, no, I control the roster, so we're not getting rid of that guy. Some of them will restructure deals. Some of them like being there. They know that with Josh Allen, they got a chance all the time. So you're going to go to about, let's say half of them, 6, 7 guys, and say, we're going to have to let you go unless we restructure. And then they're going to say, well, what do you mean by restructure? You talking about making salary signing bonus? I'll do it. If you're talking about reduction, we got on the show every offseason with the big R's, right? We all know them. No, I was talking reduction. You know what? I'm not interested. Now the guy leaves. But the agent better find out what the market really is, not what us on a radio show are talking about the market. Like Montgomery, do you really think you're going to get $9 million a year, $10 million a year on the street? There's a lot of running backs in the draft, and there's a lot of running backs in free agency, and he's a good player, but you better know. The agents don't know, so they're hustling right now. And guess where I'm going to be all next week, reporting into you two guys? The Combine. Who's going to be out there with me? GMs and agents. I'll make sure I go to their favorite watering holes at night. They don't like each other that much to talk for hours. How long does it take to eat a steak at St. Elmo's, Mark? Not long.
No, it doesn't.
But it was 3 hours of a steak eating, and I know one of my favorite agents. He sits in a corner seat in the same restaurant every night of the Combine, and not a GM gets past him. And he is the agent of choice for most of the head coaches. So he's talking about positioning GMs and head coaches with people. So I laugh at the whole thing, but how many times have I said it, David, on this show? Free agency should start the same exact day as the Combine, because that's when it really starts anyway.
Pat, we got a couple minutes before our first break. If reports are true, the Giants have blown up how it is they've done business for the last 45 plus years. That this is really when Parcells went to the Jets. That John Harbaugh now is the power figure. The only people he answers to are the owners. And supposedly, Joe Shane has been reduced to, scouting. And Dawn Aponte is above Joe Shane even though he's still got the title. I mean, this is blowing up how the organization has done business for 45 years and really for how their current owners have known the organization to be. This seems like a pretty big gamble.
I think there's ownership probably wanted to do it themselves, but their loyalty to some of the guys that were there over 20 years, it was very hard for them to talk about doing it. Haven't they even restructured Ronnie Barnes' deal? I mean, he's a figurehead there. He's a tremendous ally of the ownership, but they've even moved that department around and kind of changed the title on him. So yeah, I lived the Parcells one, and this is very, very similar. And I don't think John would have taken the job without that power, because he can get that power at other places.
Yeah, he was going to get it in Tennessee. I mean, that was in his back pocket, and the Giants knew it. And eventually, I don't know if caved is the right word, but they certainly.
I think they want it, Mark. I think they wanted to clean it up and restart the whole place, and I don't think they wanted to do it themselves.
Well, John Harbaugh is doing it for them, and we'll see if it works. They're going to be
nothing else is working right now.
Well, you got that right. They've been the worst or second worst franchise in the league for the last 10 years. I mean, you can certainly make the case that the Giants' way of doing things was broken. So, but it will be a very different way of doing things. And John Harbaugh's never had final say on personnel before, not even close. So this is very interesting.
That is very interesting.
He's Pat Kirwan. NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, CBS's NFL Today show. Joining us, as all our guests do, on the American Paint Supplies hotline, but Pat joins us courtesy of Pinchers. Tampa to Key West, all points in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. Our remaining 10 minutes with Pat coming up, and then Kyle Sielaff on Miller and Moulton.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Get ready, Southwest Florida. The Southwest Florida Ag Expo is back. Now's the time to save big with the Mega Pass. Your all-in-one ticket to the fun, one low price. Get your one-day admission and unlimited midway rides. Mega Passes available online through February 26th at swflagexpo.com. Don't wait. Grab yours. Get ready for roots, rides, and real fun. Lee County. Building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
So we through the offensive line, Pat?
Yes.
You starting to get a gauge on the draft yet? Like, positions of strength and things like that?
Yeah. Now, I'm not done with the defense, but it's going to be today, tomorrow, the next 4 days or so, almost the whole week. But week, some of this is not even news to you. Weak draft for quarterbacks. We all know that. Kind of a shaky draft early. I'm just talking the first 2 rounds, probably weak for running backs. And people are like, well, we don't take running backs that early, but there's a lot of running backs going early in the last couple of years.
Yeah, there are. Although I've seen the Notre Dame guy as a first round potential pick.
Yeah, I think the 2 Notre Dame guys are going to be on top of the board, and the Penn State kid broke his foot at the Senior Bowl. That set him back. Tight end, not a very good year for elite tight ends. I will say this: rounds 2, 3, and 4, there's going to be a lot of good centers, and that sounds weird.
Yeah, tight end's the kid from Oregon, right? He's the first round pick, and that's it.
Yeah, and he's a move guy. So if you want him to block, you got the wrong guy. There'll be defensive ends and pass rushers. There'll be a bunch of them in the first 2 rounds, maybe 10.
How are the tackles?
Defensive tackles?
No, offensive tackles.
Offensive tackles, just by my count, in the first 2 rounds, 10.
Okay.
Big. Lots of big guys. It's funny. Some of the line coaches I worked with, they didn't like them when they were 6'7". There's a lot of 6'6", 6'7" guys. They didn't like him that tall. They just thought, people got under their pads. They didn't bend their knees very well. But there's a lot of those guys, and they're good. They're good players. So I think the tackle population, if you need offensive tackles, fine. I'm going to go through today. I started yesterday, but I was too tired to keep going. But you know that the Cleveland's offensive line, all 5 starters are free agents?
Really?
You look up the Cleveland offensive line, so there's a couple of places like that. I had a nice talk yesterday about what do you do if you take Mendoza? It's easy to take him. What are you doing if you take him? I said, well, I was at the Raiders. You need to get 4 varsity linemen from free agency. You got to do exactly what Buffalo did when they took Josh Allen. They kept the left tackle, the Temple kid, Deion Dawkins, and then they got 4 veterans. You cannot put these kids out in front early behind the worst offensive line in the league. That'd be the Raiders. So I think you're going to see them. But I was looking for linemen, and as I was going through the free agent linemen, I realized there's a whole lot of Cleveland guys. So then I went and looked up Cleveland, the whole starting offensive line is free agents. And they're going to put a young quarterback on the field. What are they going to do?
Suck.
That thing could be bad for a long time. Thank you. You said it. Yeah, we'll start grinding on defense today. But I feel good about knowing the offense enough to go to the combine and interview guys. And it was funny talking to the kid from Indiana yesterday, D'Angelo Ponds. I said to him, where do you play mostly? And he said, I'm the boundary corner. I said, well, welcome to the NFL. There's no boundary corners. You're going to be out on air out there. I think they'll move him to the slot. Pretty tough little feisty guy. Looks like a bad year for the Senior Bowl guys in the first round, maybe 2 or 3. Usually they were when Jim Nagy had it and they were able to retain guys, they'd get to 5. 6, which is good, but not. I don't think so this time. But on day 2, I'll be rolling with guys I know.
Mm-hmm.
15 seconds.
Okay.
All righty. Oh, next week I'm flying on Tuesday morning at 7:45 to Indy.
All right. We'll
So I can do Monday if that works for you guys.
Yep.
Great.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Our remaining moments with Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chain, CBS's NFL Today show. Pat joining us once again, courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, all points in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. Your thoughts on Bradley Chubb? He'll be 30 in June. He had 8.5 sacks last year, yet his double team rate was top 5 in the league. So you think if he goes to a better team, he'll get double teamed a lot less. Is he a 3-year, $55 to $60 million guy? You guarantee the first 2 years, or is that too rich for you?
Well, I think it's the ballpark for him, for starters, and you're pretty much on top of that. To your point about how much can you pay your second pass rusher? Well, you can pay him a lot if you want to be good. So I think the three of us have talked a lot about Detroit. Who's opposite the big guy? Aiden. So you put him in that situation, he's never going to see the double or the slide protection. He's going to land up being one-on-one all the time. And if you can get 8.5 to 10 sacks out of him, to me, with Hutchinson, as long as he's not injured and out, I will say this: if he does go down, Chubb has been the one before. So that's a great spot for him. Detroit on the opposite side. And if Hutch had to miss games, I think the protection would go to Chubby, but I think he can handle it. He's been around that a lot of his time, so he knows how to deal with it. That's the kind of piece that I would give up even more players in Detroit to get, because they can't win what they have to do with the way they're built.
When you look at, we were going through guys that could get tagged, and it's not a long list. We had 7 guys on the list, but Kenneth Walker III is one of them, and reports are coming out today that Seattle's not going to place the tag on him. We'll see. David and I, for the record, both would. Would you?
Yeah. First off, I'd try to do a deal with him. The tag is $14.5 million, which I say this all the time. The second you put the tag on the player, he increases what he thinks he's worth, because you told him what he's worth. You told him he's 14.5. He also knows that the second year is 120% of that. So the agent's going to say, let's see, 14.5 and 17. And all of a sudden, that's what I think my guy's worth. If you just try to battle through and try to get him done before that and get to a deal that you think is reasonable for you and good for him, to me, I wouldn't fool around with him. I'd give him $10 million a year for 3 years, fully guaranteed. $30 million, 3 years. Now, why is that better than taking? He doesn't want the tag, but now he knows that, yeah, it's less than the tag number, but it's fully guaranteed for 3 years. And that takes injury out of his equation, which he should always have when you're a running back. And he's young enough to know he could get to another deal before his 30th birthday. He's 25. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. He knows he can get to another 3-year deal. So that's how I would deal with him. It'd be tough for him to leave $30 million fully guaranteed on the table.
Do the Colts have any choice with Daniel Jones? I mean, the tag's 47. He played hard ball with Joe Shane and the Giants blinked. So he's done it before with organizations. I think he's represented by the people who represented the Mannings. They don't take a dime less than what they think they can get. Do the Colts have any options here, or do they try to sign him long-term? And if he's playing hardball, they got to grit their teeth and tag him.
I don't think they're going to have a choice for the reasons you point out. They know the market. They know that the market has embarrassingly left Sam Darnold with a deal that everyone thinks is great for the club. They don't want that deal. In a lot of ways, he's like Sam, smaller version of failure, less time on the road. Really, Minnesota was nothing. So, yeah, they're going to think he's worth more. And they know the tag, and they're pretty sure that the guy's going to have to tag him. So, again, it's a hard pill to swallow at $47 million, which means the one after that's 55, and now you're up at, $100 million for two. I think they're going to have to tag him because now the agent already knows where to send him. So if anyone thinks we're going to wait to find out when they hit the bell here to start free agency, he knows the teams that want him. Again, I'll be at the combine. I'll see you. If I see anybody looking for a quarterback, having dinner with the agent.
All right, Pat, there were 2 tags last year. Has the tag, I guess, outlived its purpose? And who's won this battle, the player or the teams?
Well, to answer that, Mark, you have to ask yourself how many people threatened the tag and then got a deal done. So the tag had value in that sense right away, right? A threatening tag that makes it now all of a sudden you can negotiate a deal with the guy. So that's part of it. I think the three of us are fairly generous on 7 or 8. Probably going to be, David will give me the old over 5, under 5. I know what he's going to do. I'll take the over and I'll be wrong. But I do think it comes in a bit of spurts about when the tag goes. Now, 10 new coaches, they're probably nervous about using a tag on a guy they never coached. So
yeah, I think the number is going to be very small this year. Just going through this does not look to be a really good free agent class. I don't think that therefore, I think those that could get tagged, the teams will get deals done with them. I think there'll be very few tags. Hey, would you take a flyer on Tyreek on a 1-year deal? Like if you're New England, would you replace Diggs with Tyreek? Okay, and I know we're not going to know if he's healthy. I get it. Okay, or do you sign him to a 2-year deal? First year is very low base, incentive laden because you don't know how many games he's going to play, and then you pay him a little bit for 2027 when he's 33. Would you take a flyer on Tyreek?
Probably not. And I'll tell you, there's off the field issues.
Yep.
I mean, my security department would be deeply involved in this, finding out how they would be. So the doctor and the head of security would be in my office a lot while we're doing this. And so, there's lots of things they can do to ascertain the information they might need to feel comfortable, but I wouldn't do it right now. And he's a speed player, and there's a chance he's not going to be a speed player when he's done. And it's a sensitive subject because of now everyone who works with him likes him. He practices real hard, but you got to deal with a lot of stuff. And you gotta never forget, owners have wives, and those wives are going to find out what he's up against, and they're not going to want him on that team.
You're heading to the combine. We talked a little bit during the break. You said there are a lot of offensive tackles. Are there a lot of left tackles?
Yeah, I kind of like the left tackle population. I was more than pleasantly surprised when I started digging into these guys at how many good ones there are. So, yes, I do think it's a good year for tackles, which is never a bad thing. And it's not great for everything else. But as I said to you earlier off the air, big, 6'6", 6'6", 6'7", 6'6", 6'7", 6'7", 6'6", 6'8", 6'6", and they're accomplished. Many of them have played a lot. Some of them have unique athleticism. And, yeah, there's enough left tackles in there to satisfy the teams that need them.
Got less than a minute. Anything else since we last talked that you discovered that you think we should know?
Yeah, but it won't be newsworthy to a lot of people. It is to me and probably to you guys. But I really like the center population. Now, big deal to who? Me. Because I see guys in here that have done and accomplished an awful lot. And most of them have the versatility to play guard as well. So if you got an old center, you put this kid at guard, you slide him over in a year or two and the old guy's done. But some of them can start now. Slaughter was awesome. The Florida kid. That's not news. The Auburn kid's pretty good. I had the Kansas State kid. Heck with me. He was good. He could play right away. And I can go down the list. I see a couple of guys. You're never wrong if you take the center from Iowa. That guy's probably a meathead that can play for 10 years. So, yeah, I like the center population.
Well, thanks. That's why we ask. He's Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio, NFL Today Show. Joining us once again, courtesy of Pinchers. Pat will join us at the end of the week here on Miller and Moulton. Kyle Sielaff next.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeister's prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 13325.
This is Miller and Moulton.
As well you should, Aurora. As well you should.
Aurora, with your comments about the Commanders and the offensive line, I could just picture you showing up at like a draft party. You know, walking in, got your jersey, and you sit down, and the guys are, talking. Like guys, draft. And all of a sudden you go, listen, okay, we should go offensive line, offensive line, offensive line. Okay? First 3 rounds. The guys at the table would be like, oh my goodness, who is she? They'd go crazy. They'd love it. Protecting my Daniels.
That's a t-shirt.
I was going to say, I don't know if we're talking Jack, Jaden, doesn't matter. The reason I took those down is that Kyle is supposed to be joining us.
Oh, he's coming. I'm sorry. All right.
So that's why I keep taking them down on you.
Well, then F you.
Exactly. I'm sure you're sitting there going, that blankety blanket, just leave me alone. So I text him. and we'll see what he says. Rick, if he changes his mind and says, call me, you've got his number.
Yes, sir.
But
Got about a minute, David. When do you want me to call?
he just texted me back, so my guess is he's hooking up.
Okay.
Because I said, if we have to call you, say the word, and he didn't say that. Rick, if the music starts and there's no sign of him, just call.
Got it. Yeah, we got about 20 seconds here.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Hoping to catch up with Kyle Sielaff, and he'll be joining us momentarily here on Miller and Moulton. We're big on baseball this year because we ain't going to have any next year, and we want to do a team preview a day. And since the Marlins were in the news yesterday because their owner, Bruce Sherman, who doesn't always speak publicly, spoke publicly and spoke very confidently about the organization, we said, well, our guy with the organization's the TV voice of the Miami Marlins. He's Kyle Sielaff. Follow him on X at Kyle_Sielaff, Sielaff. Top of the morning to you. Hope you had a great off season. How are you?
It's not top of the morning to me. You guys send me emails at 4:30 with this link in the morning. So it's you guys are halfway through your day already. It's rather impressive. But I'm good, guys. How are you? It's great to be back on with you.
Thanks, Kyle. It's great to see you. And the owner yesterday, three-letter message, win. I'm not in this for profit. Those are things that fan bases love to hear. Mm-hmm. But the Marlins don't spend a lot of money. They're trying to build something here. Are you confident in what they're building?
Yes, because of what we saw last year. I think it would be very hard to take a look at what transpired last season and say, this isn't working. If you go back to last year, they were 54-42 after June 12th. This was a team that was 16 games under 500. They clawed all the way back to 500. and they had the 6th best record in the major leagues after June 12th last season. If they were 16 under last year, they stayed there. Young players did not perform. I think my tenor may be different, but I have a lot of belief that what happened last year was a product of the culture, the processes they're putting in place, the coaching that's being done that put them in advantageous situations to perform. So my expectation is that some of those guys that had good years will have even better years this year, and so will the team. That's not guaranteed, but that's just kind of my thought on it.
Well, and Kyle, a lot of times when a team, like we talked to Yankees yesterday, and the guy we were talking to, we're like, listen, they're basically rolling it back. And it wasn't good enough by Yankee standards last year. Why should fans believe it's going to be better this year? But with the Marlins being so young, okay, it's realistic, right, to expect a handful of those guys who were good last year to maybe be very good this year, right? You could, in theory, roll the same team back this year with a healthy Alcantara and think we can challenge for a playoff spot.
Yeah, I would agree with you, David. And I think sometimes there's some natural regression that takes place in young players, which I think sometimes is okay, and that's to be expected. But I do think there's another level to a lot of these guys before you see maybe a little step back. I don't think they really scratched the surface, many of them last season, of what they're capable of doing, which is what I think has excited this fan base in a way that I really haven't seen in a while, because oftentimes, and you guys know this, you can't shy away from this. You need to be transparent. Much of the discourse every offseason is, well, they didn't spend any money. This offseason was a bit more interesting to me because the fans saw what they're building, and they knew that there were some gaps they needed to fill. Like, they spent the most money ever on a reliever, got Pete Fairbanks from Tampa. They're going to give a shot to Christopher Morel that is going to play first. He was a very big prospect, and he's got a lot of power. And they made a couple of other moves. They got Chris Paddock that kind of anchor the back of the rotation. But it was the first time in a long time that I saw the fan base. They're like, ooh, man, we can't wait to see some of these young kids again. And that hasn't always been the case. And I think it's okay to acknowledge that, because oftentimes that they weren't getting the job done, and it was resulting in losing seasons. Now, they're not satisfied with what happened last year. 79 and 83 isn't good enough, but it sure is a far cry from 62 and 100. And this is a team that had a 17-game win improvement from 2024 to 2025. So, like, they are building something. And, a lot of folks that listen to you guys kind of over on the west coast of Florida are very familiar with the Rays and what Peter Bendix and his crew built there. It hasn't necessarily won a World Series, but it has given them the belief that year in and year out, and the expectation that this is more than a 162-game season, which to me is all you ask for, because if you can get through that and then you get to roll the dice after that, I mean, who knows what can happen.
You talked about a couple of the young position players. If I'm reading this right, the couple of their young pitchers are expected to make debuts in 2026 in Snelling and White. Now, I don't know if they'll be on the opening day roster, but it looks as if the pitching pipeline, at least on the starting side, looks like it's strong going forward, Kyle.
Yes, you're right. If you were to ask me this morning, gun to head, I'd probably tell you Alcantara, Perez, Paddock, Meyer, and Garrett. Braxton Garrett coming back, hasn't pitched in a year and a half. I think Max Meyer, personally, just my opinion, ends up in the bullpen. And I think that sooner rather than later. And I think that ultimately means that Robbie Snelling and Thomas White will be up. Now, these things always have a funny way of playing themselves out. So Robbie Snelling is probably ready to pitch in the major leagues right now. I don't think he gets that chance if everybody's healthy. 30 teams will have somebody inevitably hurt on the opening day roster. So we'll see what happens there. I think what's great is that you might ultimately have a young man that's ready to pitch in the major leagues that starts in Jacksonville. And the first sign of trouble, or the first sign of, hey, we need to reverse course here, and we're going to move things around a little, I think he's up. Thomas White, arguably the best left-handed starting pitcher in all of minor league baseball. I think Miami has like 4 top 100 prospects, which is exciting people as well. Thomas White is very close. I have no problem with him starting in AAA. He didn't make that many starts there last year, and it's a very good level to make another half dozen starts before he gets called up. So it's close. And again, I think the tenor of the fans and the temperature of the fans is always a very, very good. How would you say it? Like it gives you a feeling of where you're at, right? Like if they're really, fans are smart, and it's just the first time in a while I've seen them like, oh, we can't wait for opening day to see these young guys again, because like this team reminds them a lot of like late 2000s Marlins with Hanley and Ugla and those type of guys, which I understand. So it's awesome. It's great. And baseball season's here, and everybody's 0-0 as far as I'm concerned.
Kyle Sielaff, he's the television voice of the Miami Marlins. Follow him on X at Kyle_Sielaff, Sielaff. Hey, first off, let's just talk about where we're going to find you. Okay, because obviously, Marlins along with the Rays, and it's going to be half of Major League Baseball going to have their games produced and distributed by Major League Baseball. Just curious, what can you tell the fans that are listening right now? Best way you think they can see Marlins baseball this year?
Yeah, here's the cool thing, and I this doesn't come from like a PR statement I'm reading. This allows fans anywhere and everywhere in the entire state of Florida and a sliver of Alabama to watch Marlins baseball if you'd like. There's no longer any blackouts. All of these teams that have gone to Major League Baseball, if you don't have, so I think they're going to strike a deal with Comcast and like DirecTV, and there will be a dedicated channel on those providers that says Marlins or something. And it's dead 20 hours a day. It's live for 4 hours, and your games are there. If you cut the cord and you don't have access to any of that stuff, all you need to do now is go to marlins.tv. It is blackout free. If you're not in market, you can subscribe still to Marlins exclusively. So you don't have to pay $150 a year or whatever it is. If you're just a Marlins fan and you're not a huge baseball like MLB fan and you don't want to watch every other team, there's an option now where you can pay per team. It's kind of like a la carte. For the Marlins, it's $100 a year. It's pretty standard across the board. That's what all the teams are doing. And that's what, 60-something cents a game? And there's no blackouts. So if you're a Marlins fan and you haven't been able to watch them for some time because you feel like cable's getting way too expensive, and you're in market, but you don't want to pay, you guys get it. There's a way for everybody to watch the Miami Marlins now. So that at its core is awesome. And I think the price point, if you have the means, understand if you don't, is reasonable. For 60-something cents a game, you can catch Marlins baseball. And that it's on me to provide you with a little bit of entertainment.
That's great news. I mean, that is great news, because the blackouts, baseball fans have been upset about that for years. And the fact that you can watch the games anywhere and not have to worry about it not being on, that's a win for the fans. I know it's not necessarily a win yet for the team, because that's a chunk of money that's not coming in from the cable providers or the FanDuel that once was. But this is I'm interested to see how this goes on a team by team basis, because it will set precedent for what happens after this new CBA gets done.
Yeah, you're right. And that's the other part of this conversation. And, if you want to have an honest conversation about it, like there's a financial hit to all these teams that are making the change from, your standard, television rights deal to doing this, where you're getting a sliver of what you were getting. But teams can still be incentivized. From everything I've read, if you start, depending on the amount of subscriptions you're making, there's advertisement opportunities. Like you can potentially make more than what you were getting previously. Might be difficult. I don't know that side of it, and I don't need to. But that is a very real thing with all of this. But there's also some stuff I've read that teams that have done this saw an uptick in their merchandise sales because teams that had not been people that had not been able to watch them for years or whatever got back on board. And so I think there is some give and take, but yeah, the revenue side of it is obviously a big deal. It's something that's being talked about. So, and with the CBA coming up, I do hope there's baseball next year. I really, really do. I think the game is in way too good of a place to not have it. You know, they were setting record numbers last year, merchandise sales, attendance through the turnstiles. Do they have turnstiles anymore? I may have just dated myself. I guess they don't have a turnstile anymore. But yeah, like that's the thing. It's a bit, you know, this is the side of the game that nobody gives a you-know-what about because they just want to watch baseball. And that's what everybody is terrified that they're not going to get next year because the side of the game that nobody gives a rip about is going to get in the way, which is kind of fascinating. So I don't know. We'll see. I'll be curious to see.
We talk about it often, and we think we're not going to have much, if any, baseball next year, but we'll worry about that then. In less than 2 minutes, we've never heard Bruce Sherman like he was yesterday. He was confident yesterday. First off, also people were buying what he was selling. All right. I sense that he thinks for the first time this organization is ready to win.
I agree with you. And I think I have a very good relationship with Bruce. And I will say the same thing to you guys that I tell a lot of people kind of off the record and not in like a setting like this. He cares. He cares a lot. He wants to win. There's no major league owner you will ever convince me that doesn't want to win. Like winning is good. Winning is good for business. If you're running it like a business, the one thing you can do to generate a really good business is to win. Bruce wants to win. They have legitimately, and there's one thing that people don't love to talk about, spent $100 million behind the scenes on the infrastructure. And people have told me, if you say it one more time, I'm going to knock your socks off. It is important because if this stuff is not being built, you're not keeping up with the rest of the league. The amenities and the resources that these guys have, now the Marlins have it. They have the same stuff the Dodgers have, right? So he wants to win, and they are in as good of a place as they have been in since he first took over in the fall of 2018. And I, for one, am very excited to see what happens in 2026, guys.
Kyle, you've been great to us. First when you were on radio, and now that you're the television voice. Enjoy spring training, and hopefully we can talk right around opening day. Thanks for everything over the years. We appreciate you.
Whenever, guys, just stay out of trouble, and I'll hop on with you soon.
Kyle Sielaff. We'll try not to bother him with too many emails at 4:30 in the morning going forward, but we always appreciate when he joins us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
And, you know, the infrastructure part, we do get into that. I mean, it's why the Braves are going to be successful. It's what the Rays want to do with what they're doing. And Tampa and Miami got their stadium, but the area around it probably needs work. And that's where it's going to make a difference. With the TV contracts changing, what you have in and around your stadium is going to be everything going forward, because that's the revenue you can make up that you were once getting on TV. The Diamond District Bonus Hour. That's next.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh yeah.
Hey, Southwest Florida, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. For you that haven't tried us yet, you gotta get in here and try my favorite 5 Chicago-style sandwiches. I got the Italian beef, I got the Italian sausage, the sausage and beef, the Maxwell Street Polish, and our soon-to-be famous breaded steak. Call us at either one of our locations in Bonita Springs and Fort Myers. And guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced jardiniere.
Spring training is a big win for Lee County. Beginning next month, we will proudly host the Boston Red Sox and Minnesota Twins right here in Southwest Florida. It's more than great baseball. It's jobs, visitors, and $69 million in tourism impact for our local economy. Get your tickets at redsox.com and twins.com. Be part of something that strengthens our community. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I don't know about win 95, but I think they'll make the playoffs for sure. Texas is the sleeper team out there. I'm not quite sure which way Texas is going to go. I think they're going to be better than they were last year. So, you know, like if I was Seattle, I'm actually, I think, more worried about the Rangers than the Astros. Michael, the Marlins averaged 14,000 a game last year. So now they were 28th in the majors, but the two teams below them both played in minor league ballparks, the Rays and the A's. So they were dead last in the National League, and they were dead last in teams that played in major league stadiums. But 14,000 and change was their average attendance last year. Yeah, I think FGCU, they swept North Dakota State. I think starting tomorrow, I think they have a 2-gamer against Minnesota or a 1-gamer. I don't know. But
hey, Rick, someone texted that the app has been down for 30 minutes. I don't know what
Okay, I'll check it.
I'll check mine too. I don't always believe everybody.
Yeah, Deadstruck, I did see that. I was amazed that they allowed a pinch runner to complete the home run, because I thought a few years ago something similar happened and the opposing team actually carried the kid and allowed him to touch H base.
It's not on. It's on the apps end, Rick. It's not hitting that button. It just spins. It won't get the station. So I'll send Chris a text.
Okay.
But I love the Mariners, Michael, re-signing Josh Naylor to play first.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And it's time for the Diamond District bonus hour. Miller and Moulton on this Fat Tuesday. Thanks for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton. On X, we've kicked it around a little bit today. A lot of football with Pat Kirwan. Just talked some Marlins with Kyle Sielaff, their television voice.
It's exciting from a television standpoint. I know not everybody's jazzed about the Marlins, but the fact that you can watch all the games for free in the state of Florida, that's terrific.
Yeah. And also, if you've cut the cord, it's what, $100 for the year, which is 60 cents a game. So, if you're into baseball, that's pretty damn cheap.
I thought about getting the baseball package this year, of just spending the summer away from Netflix and Peacock and all the apps I buy. It would be I would probably save money over the course of the summer, if you know what I mean. Because it's like I think it's like $150, $160 for the MLB.TV package. And they're in cahoots with ESPN. So the way I understand it is you should be able to watch all of the games the same way you and I watch hockey, via Plus, if you will. So a little more investigating needs to be done, but I think that that's the case.
Can I change subjects?
Sure.
Well, if you got something
done, that's all. I just I'm just trying to talk baseball with my co-host, and once again, he'd rather talk about anything but baseball.
Oh my goodness. He can't even keep a straight face, ladies and gentlemen.
That's so great.
Dan Walken is a fine columnist. He's very opinionated, and that's what a columnist should be. He's a good writer. He's opinionated, and he'll make you, spit anger, and he'll make you go, oh, wow, that was really good. I think that makes a good columnist. Dan Walken wrote a column today. And, you and I are idea guys. We throw a lot out there. We try to think forward. Dan Walken said, shouldn't basketball be in the Winter Olympics? And he said, think about it. When is the sport played? All right. For the most part, it's played in the late fall, all through the winter, into the very early parts of spring. And he said, think about it. The players are in shape. All of the world's best players are in shape. Okay. Not working their way into shape. Not the season's over. And, it's a sacrifice to play to represent your team, etc. And he basically said, should basketball do what hockey's doing? Okay. Shut the season down every 4 years for 2+ weeks and play basketball during the Winter Olympics, when we're playing basketball. And at first you're thinking, what? But I don't know, Mark. Within 10 seconds, I started going, oh, that's not bat blank crazy.
No, it's not bat blank crazy. But if I were the NBA, I would not be for this at all. Not even in the slightest. I don't think stopping your season is necessarily a good thing when the games are being played all over the globe at times that make it difficult for your fans to watch. I love hockey. The one thing, while I'm sitting here in Moffat every day, the one thing I've missed at night is not being able to watch NHL hockey.
I know.
Most of these games so far, there have been very few good games in this Olympic hockey tournament.
Correct.
As we now get into the elimination rounds, the hockey will get substantially better quickly.
Yes.
But I think if you asked the NHL, would they rather have this now or would they rather be in the summer games so that you can highlight a sport while it's not being played? I think they'd flip. So if I'm the NBA, I get the opportunity to have my full season. They even worked it out really well. Hell, they put their all-star break here in the Olympic break. So this couple of days off that they're giving the players, which seems to be a lot to me based on past years. I mean, it's a pretty good break for the NBA. It's substantial.
It's a week. I mean, it's
Right.
Thursday to Thursday, unless you were part of All-Star Weekend, but 90+% of the league gets a week.
But then what do they get in 2 years? They get a 2-week infomercial on the sport during the summer games when their games are not being played. So I'm not opposed to what he's saying. I'm just telling you from a business standpoint, it makes far more sense to my business to play basketball in the summer.
Okay. Obviously, there's two sides of every coin. You're saying from the league standpoint, don't like the idea at all. What about the players?
Well, I mean, you know, David, if we let's just say that Dan Walken gets what he wants. What's the biggest problem in your estimation of the NBA right now?
Well, their stars don't play enough and players aren't playing hard enough.
Well, I'll just take the first one. Load management. I mean, that's what it is. We all know those words. Do you think load management in an Olympic year would go up or down for the game's best players if they had to play in the Olympics as well?
They'd probably sit out a few more games.
Yeah, they probably would.
But that's a league issue. That's not a player's issue. If you're a player, if you're especially, and we're only talking about, a few dozen guys here. I mean, and maybe 50 guys we're talking about. Okay, you got the U.S. team, Canadian team. Okay, maybe 100 guys throughout the league. But I'm just curious, if you were to just say, hey, ideally, you could call the shots. Would you rather play the Olympics in February or would you rather play them in August? Why would they want to play them in August?
More women at the games for them to use the Olympic condom machine with?
I just, if I'm a player, it's like, well, no, let's do it in the middle of the season. I mean, I'm in shape, I'm ready to go, and it doesn't cut into my summer vacation. Yeah, this would be great.
Well, I mean, I see all of your points, and I guess at the end of the day, as a fan, I don't like it. As an owner, I don't like it. And my goodness, let's cater more to the players in this sport because it's really worked out well so far.
Well, I agree with you there. I agree with you. I'm just wondering if the players were to actually think about this and down the road, would this ever be a bargaining point in which they go, we ain't going to do it unless we do it during the season. We ain't giving up our summers for this anymore. I'm curious as players, they're all into their brand, and we all know the NBA is very big internationally. Okay. And maybe it does work out much better for them business wise off the court to do it in August than to do it in February. Because one of the things we've talked about, a couple of hockey heads, is like if I'm the NHL, I don't think they're getting the bang out of this Olympics that's worth shutting the league down for 3 weeks.
I don't either, but I think that's on the format more than it's on anything else. I think this making sure the U.S. and Canada get out of their group crap is a joke. If there were simply 2 groups and they were playing round robin and you had 3 or 4 good teams in every group, I'd be much more into this. I mean, this has been a joke.
Well,
to be brutally honest, I mean, to watch Canada beat Italy 14-2 or whatever the hell it was, who cares?
Well, but also none of the hockey, for obvious reasons, it can't be shown live in primetime. But how much of the hockey is even being shown on tape in primetime? I mean, I'm sorry. Hockey is getting USA and CNBC between 10 a.m. and 4 in the afternoon. What the hell am I shutting down the sport for if that's what we're getting? Sorry. And I'm shutting the sport down for 3 weeks for the potential of one game. Is one U.S.-Canada game for the gold. And by the way, when is that going to air? Is that going to be on NBC live? Because I ain't shutting down this league unless I'm getting USA-Canada. And by the way, I want it whenever they play. If they play in the semis, quarters, I don't give a damn. If I'm shutting this league down, I'm getting USA-Canada live on NBC. Otherwise, forget it.
And to your point, David, this is why I wouldn't do the same thing with basketball because, again, when you're in LA, it's fine. You can have all the games at 8 Eastern. You can cater to the networks. But most of the time you cannot. And you're not going to ever guarantee that you have the ability to go live with many of these games when the networks want them. And that's when it works for everybody. This hasn't worked for hockey at all. You and I love the sport. I don't know how much you've watched, but I've been interested. I've not seen but one Canada game. And that team's amazing.
Amazing. Yep.
And this Celebrini kid is turning into a star before our eyes.
Did you hear Cooper tell the story? The penalty shot in the last game? Okay, it was a penalty shot, and the ref comes over and says, well, you can pick anybody. Okay, at which point Celebrini starts to go over the boards. Now think about who's sitting on that bench.
Right, McDavid, McKenna, Crosby, just to name 3 people that most of you know.
Okay, and he starts climbing the boards, and Cooper looks down to the left, looks to the right, sees Celebrini start to climb the boards, and the veterans go, well, I say we let him go, Skip. Okay, and Coop goes, yeah, what the heck. At which point he's skating out there. That's amazing.
And he doesn't give a rip. This kid plays hard all the time. He doesn't take it as seriously as some of the older guys, at least in appearance. He's a breath of fresh air out there, man.
He is.
He really is.
Yes,
He's
is.
everything you want in a young athlete. What's he, 19 right now, for crying out loud?
I think he started the year at 18, but I believe now he's 19.
19 years old.
You're going to start seeing, it's not going to happen this year. You're going to start seeing a lot more San Jose Sharks games in the next few years. And you're wondering why. It's because of Celebrini.
Miller and Moulton talking a little Olympic hoop. Dan Walken putting a column out saying it should be in the winter games. I wouldn't shut down the league for the Olympics if I were the NBA. I'd want my cake and eat it too. And I think they get that the current way. And you mentioned the brand of the players. I think they can brand themselves even better in the offseason. The Diamond District Bonus Hour, Miller and Moulton.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Got a cracked window or foggy glass? Don't wait for the next storm to make it worse. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business is just down the road and ready to help. From leaky frames to shattered panes, we've got the tools and the know-how to get your home or business storm ready. With flexible scheduling and our done right promise, you'll be in good hands. So before or after the weather hits, call your neighbors at Glass Doctor.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor. Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 13325.
This is Miller and Moulton.
So I do find local news funny in this regard. And I'm not going political. I don't care what your opinions are on this. I'm not doing this because of that. But one of the local stations did a story on the ICE protests, and they did them on like Daniels and 75, Daniels and 41. And I just happened to see a clip of it. David, there looked to be about, I don't know, 12 protesters there. Begging the question, begging the question as to how is that a news story? Now, if I'm in Minneapolis, it's a news story every day. There are thousands of people there. That constitutes something that the public is interested in. 12 people on Daniels is not a news story to me.
No, it is not.
That just I find fascinating.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, crap. Rick, oh. Shit. No, I don't even think it's the best rivalry in that division. Rams 49ers is a better rivalry. Now, the Seahawks and Rams might both be better, but Rams Niners is a better rivalry than Rams Seahawks. Niners Seahawks a better rivalry with the coach going. I mean, and no, in the NFL, no.
Whoa.
What?
Breaking news. I'll save it.
Okay.
Also, do you have anything? Because there's one thing I wanted to get to today we haven't got to.
Knock yourself out. I got nothing.
All right, it's golf.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when it's all coming up. We've got some breaking news. And I think Miller and Moulton will believe this is a bigger story than a lot of sports fans will. But Tony Clark is the executive director of the Major League Baseball Players Association. He's resigning.
Interesting.
He's had that gig like a decade.
Right, and he's been very adversarial towards the league, and been seemingly to be a king part of what's going to happen going forward. I don't know if this is a good thing for baseball. I certainly don't know how good it is for the players right now.
So here they are. The agreement between the owners and the players, I believe, is up on November 30th of this year. So we're talking 9 months, 9.5 months away. And the executive director of the Players Association is resigning. Now, obviously, we'll find out more. Is this him just being tired, family reasons, whatever? Or is this something going on internally with the Players Association? Which I think you and I would find interesting, because isn't the real debate and struggle over on the other side?
That's what we thought, or were led to believe.
So, Evan Drellick, who's as good a baseball reporter as there is, okay, Tony Clark resigning as head of the Players Association. All righty then. Have you heard the latest golf rumors?
No, I have not.
They're apparently going to announce within the next month what the PGA Tour is going to look like next year. The talk is they'll announce it no later than the Players Championship.
Okay, and that's not too far off.
No, it's a month, I think. So here's what's being leaked. They really are hell-bent on not playing until after the Super Bowl.
I think that's a terrible move personally, but that's just me.
So think about, didn't they go to Torrey? Didn't they go to Phoenix? Okay. So next year, remember, the Super Bowl's on Valentine's Day.
Right. That means you're not starting until mid to late, I guess, late February, actually.
Well, third weekend. This weekend coming up
would be the first week of the tour.
Essentially, the PGA Tour would be starting on Thursday. Season would be starting this coming Thursday next year. Okay. 22 events max on the tour. They currently have 35. That's a lot of events going bye-bye, or I don't know, being moved to a time of the year that the PGA Tour doesn't give a damn about. I don't know. But apparently they're going from the Super Bowl or right after it till Labor Day, and that's their year, and fit in the four majors into it. Okay? That's number one. Number two, Pebble, Torrey, may get moved to August and be the playoff courses. Now, I got to admit, that I like.
Well, I don't like where they really are for the playoff. I mean, there's not a lot there when they go, whether it's Boston or some of the courses they go to, doesn't do a lot for me.
Okay. It's interesting you mentioned Boston. Apparently, the tour wants to own the summer. They want to take on Major League Baseball head to head. And by the way, this could be a boon for the tour next year if there is no Major League Baseball.
Very true.
But that the PGA Tour wants to, quote, own the summer. And they want to get tour events back in the major markets. What's interesting is in the last 10 or so years, the sponsorships of the tour events in the major markets have gone away. They used to be in Boston. They used to be in DC. Tiger's event was in DC. All right. New York metropolitan area. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We're not talking Connecticut, if you know what I mean. So A, lot less events. B, apparently they don't want to start till after the Super Bowl.
Okay, here's the first thing I think of. It seems that Florida would be somewhat safe because if you're going to play events in Florida, if you're going to be playing events every weekend in March, there are very few places you can play them at. Now, Phoenix could get moved to March.
Right.
But you know what I'm getting at. It's not like you can go to Michigan in the middle of March.
No.
It's not like you can go to even Charlotte and take the chance that you're going to get good weather in March.
So the question becomes, how much of the West Coast swing are they going to destroy? Or how much of it are they just going to conveniently move? But apparently, Mark, like the two events in Hawaii, looks like if the rumors are true, they're going to go away. The Hope, which isn't called the Hope anymore and what have you, but
that's gone.
That looks like that's gone. And Pebble and or Phoenix are going to become two courses. By the way, Phoenix in August.
Yeah,
we sure.
I would actually start my season, and I would start at Super Bowl week. I actually would. I'm not taking on the Super Bowl. I'm playing Phoenix the week of Super Bowl. You're not taking on any football games.
I agree.
That to me is asinine.
I agree. I wouldn't lose a week. I would start with Phoenix.
Yes,
Okay.
that would be my initial event, and it would be whenever the Super Bowl is.
Now, I have no problem. The weather in August, Pebble in August would be amazing. Okay.
They'd shoot 70 under, but yes.
Yes. Well, and they're shooting 24 under now. So apparently they're going to take a couple of the West, like Torrey and or Pebble could get moved to playoff courses. Okay. I mean, these are traditional, these are historically significant golf courses. You know, is it Torrey? Does Torrey stay part of the West Coast swing? But Mark, imagine this: Pebble and Riviera as part of the playoff every year. That'd be pretty flippin' cool.
No, it would. And Riviera is where they're playing the Olympic golf coming up in 26 as well.
Right. You mean 28. Right.
28, rather. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So
it is 26.
But just some of what's coming out of PGA Tour headquarters. No more than 22 events, and that basically they're going to be packed with all the big names. Okay. These guys don't want to play that much golf, but okay. And since you're giving them more money, they have less motivation to play that much golf, but all right.
It really, to me, shrinks the tour, though, as far as the number of players. You know, it's already difficult to get on tour.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like for that next generation of tour player, how do they get on tour?
Like the event at Pebble last week, that was 80 guys. No cut, 80 guys. That's it. By the way, LIV was no cut, 57 guys. And yet the PGA Tour got X number of points and LIV got Y. There's a big difference. And LIV only got points for the top 10 guys. But
A big difference in talent after the top 10, too. There is.
Well, no doubt.
It's not close.
No doubt.
I mean, we've been proponents of live golf for a while, but come on now.
Right. No. There is no doubt. But I mean, these signature events are 80 to 100 guys. Okay. And a lot of 80, no cut. So apparently it's all going to get announced by the players, maybe sooner, but by the players. And apparently the PGA Tour is really going to push for the players to be a fifth major. Apparently this isn't just a Brandel Chambly thing. Apparently the tour is going to push for this.
We'll see how much the fans like it. It's not a fifth major unless we tell them it is, if you know what I mean. They can call it whatever they want.
But I think they're looking for an official designation within the world of golf. I mean, we've always said it is odd that the PGA Tour is not responsible for any of the four majors. It's four other groups, Miller and Moulton.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com, capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Supposed to open spring of this year, Sonny.
Sonny, apparently the clubhouse is supposed to open this year.
That's what I just told him.
Oh, okay.
Spring of this year.
That was sad.
I have to ask Rush what his assessment was for that.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't even know if he goes back and forth anymore.
Uh, 2034, Sonny. They go back to Oakland Hills for the Open. And then 2051, and that's the last U.S. Open. Apparently, they've got the U.S. Opens mapped out for the next 25 years.
I'd like to make that one. It'd be 82. That'd be cool. That's a good goal. I mean, not go to it, just watch it on television. I mean, just be alive for it, sort of what we're talking about here.
I just want to make the first one. It's 8 years from now. I don't know about that Canada relief.
I can't imagine. I'm going to try, David. I don't know if I'll be able to, but a guy I play golf with, his niece is on the USA team.
Oh, wow.
When this is over, I'm going to reach out to David and see if it's possible. Skamura is her last name. She played on the last Olympic team too. Did hear, when I was watching that, they were talking about that professional women's hockey. One of the players said, "There's no way I'd still be playing Olympic hockey if it wasn't for that league." The fact that I'm still playing at like 31 or whatever it was, she was, very grateful of that league because she continues to play. Otherwise, they wouldn't.
There are a lot of people, business people, that are bullish on that league. It's interesting.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till we're done. That's it. Top of the hour. Over. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. You ready?
I am ready. Let's get after it.
All right.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
We start in 1801 when the House of Representatives breaks an electoral college tie by electing Jefferson as president over Aaron Burr. If it would have been the other way around and Aaron Burr would have won, if you'd have said, "Did you kill a guy?" he would have said yes. Sardines were first canned today in Eastport, Maine in 1876. David, have you ever had a sardine?
Yes. Not a big fan.
I don't think I have, and I don't know if I ever want to. Johnny Weissmuller set the 100-meter world record today in 1924, 57.4 seconds in Miami. Today was the first time the Maple Leafs played since changing their name from the St. Patrick's. They would beat the New York Americans 4-1 in 1927. The AHL's Hershey Bears played their first hockey game today in 1931.
Oh, wow.
That's how long that franchise has been around, and they are supported incredibly well. A friend of mine that played on the team in Atlanta had a cup of coffee in Tampa, a kid by the name of Jeff. Well, not a kid anymore. Then he was. Jeff Buchanan, tough guy, lefty. He ended up finishing his career in Hershey after having a cup of coffee with Colorado. I think they were hooked up with them. Ended up living there for his whole life. Loves it. The Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield, Massachusetts, opened today in 1968. Nixon would leave D.C. for China today in 72 in that groundbreaking trip. Today in 74, Petty becomes the first driver to win back-to-back titles at Daytona, his 5th Great American Race win. Today in 76, the Eagles release their greatest hits, 71 to 75, 10 songs from the first 4 albums. It is the top-selling album in U.S. history. More Daytona stuff, really for David. I gotta make amends after taking racing shots at him for a week.
Thank you.
Awesome Bill from Dawsonville took the pole at 2:05.
I know.
Today in 85, dominates the race, winning and leading 136 of the 200 laps. We've talked a little Olympic hockey today. Today, the first gold medal. The U.S. women's team beat Canada today in 1998 for the first women's gold. 2014, the end of late night TV as we know it. Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon premieres on NBC. 2019, Joe Gibbs Racing goes 1-2-3. Hamlin, Logano, Kyle Busch. 2020, Hamlin wins again, this time in 0.014 seconds over Ryan Blaney in the second restart in overtime. It would be his 3rd Daytona victory. Baseball announcer Red Barber, David's buddy Ryan, Jim Brown, and Taylor Hawkins, the drummer from the Foo Fighters, would have all celebrated birthdays today. Rowdy Gaines, the swimmer and swimming broadcaster extraordinaire. He's fantastic. The Rowdy Cam basically set the standards for people putting the cam on the broadcaster. I don't know if them doing it for anybody before the Olympics would show those shots of Rowdy Gaines going bat blank crazy. He's 67. Lindy Ruff, player and coach with the Sabres, 66. Lou Diamond Phillips, the actor, is 64. Michael Jordan is 63 years old today. Darren Pang, hockey announcer and former Saginaw Hawk, he's 62. Luke Robitaille, 60. Brian Cox is 58. Billy Joe Armstrong from Green Day is 54. Paris Hilton, born on third base, is 45. Ed Sheeran, 35. Tennis player Madison Keys is 29 years old today. What did I miss, David?
Well, you didn't miss anything, but I do want to discuss, is there a place between third and home? Because the coach's box, she's about ready to high five 3 of her friends having hit a slam. I mean, I don't know. I think she was born past third.
Well, I mean, you might be right there. By the way, did you see that they're going to really try to keep the baseball coaches, the third and first base coaches, in their boxes? It's kind of a bone of contention. They think that's how a lot of the tip pitches and stealing pitches is happening. So baseball's kind of made it a mandate to keep those coaches in the box. Just something for you baseball fans to pay attention to.
I'm just curious, what's the penalty? And I'm being serious here because, if you're not in the batter's box in time, it's a strike. If you're not ready to pitch in time, it's a ball. I'm just curious, what's the penalty? Do you get one warning and you're rejected? No. I'm just curious because for whatever reason, this is a thing. Like this came up at the owners' meetings. Like the owners, okay. So just curious.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
I'm just going to give you a warning / tease for tomorrow. I had a good, but it was one of those stories that amused me and wasn't really a good. I'm going to derail the show with it tomorrow, probably in the 7 o'clock hour.
Okay.
But for the good, we go to California, where a GoPro video shows a surfer responding to a capsized boat over the weekend that left a family of 6 in the water. One of the surfers, Ian Anderson, 14 years old, helped rescue a young boy by getting him on his surfboard. Their buddy was out there with the GoPro trying to film them recording waves and surfing, but instead recorded the entire rescue. The boat had 4 children and their parents. The children were not wearing life vests, or the children were wearing life vests. The parents were not. All 6 were thrown into the water, but 14-year-old Ian Anderson responsible for helping saving one of the boys. What a great story. For the bad, we go to North Fort Myers, where a North Fort Myers man was arrested early Saturday after he decided to fire a handgun at an occupied pickup outside of a home. Apparently, the 2 victims told deputies they arrived at a home to pick up a friend and honked the horn in the driveway. That's when a woman came outside yelling at him, followed quickly by James Mishoud, who fired 3 times, striking the truck's windshield, headlights, and interior roof. They called 911 and James was arrested. Finally, the ugly, we go to Hialeah, where Dean Young's in a bit of trouble, mostly because he's an idiot. He was trying to steal a landscaping van, but somehow, some way, while trying to steal the van, he got himself locked inside the van and was screaming for people to let him out. Obviously, he didn't steal the van, but was arrested for attempted robbery. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, February the 17th, here on Miller and Moulton. And it's brought to you, as always, by the Cape Coral Police Department. Hiring new officers, great pay, overtime, benefits, other jobs available. For information on being a cop in Cape Coral or any of the other jobs, you go to one place, capecops.com. That's capecops.com.
Olympics, final week, already underway. For what it's worth, the winner of Latvia-Sweden is who the men's hockey team plays tomorrow. That Latvia-Sweden game is at 3:00. So take it for what it's worth. We've got speed skating, snowboarding, bobsledding, freestyle skiing, the biathlon, medals determined in all of that stuff today.
We got a lot of system plays.
And we have a hell of a college hoops night.
We really do.
I mean, it's not a system play.
It starts early.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
So
right in my time slot, David.
Yeah, I know. It's just a streaming game, though. Michigan, Purdue, number 1 against number 7, 6:30 on Peacock.
Yeah, I get it. Don't worry. I'm good.
Okay. I'm just saying. But the problem is you only got the one TV, though, right? So if you're on a streaming service, you want to change the channel, it's a pain.
Yeah, we'll see. They've been putting a lot of these Peacock games on this whole NBC Sports Network. So I'll be curious if this one's on that.
Okay. Gators are home for South Carolina. They're 24-point favorites. 7:00 SEC network. But get ready. System plays tonight. North Carolina. Okay.
Not a system play.
I know.
Not a system play.
A huge underdog when you think about it. In Raleigh against NC State, and the Wolfpack are favored by nearly 6.
Right.
Wow. St. Louis, 10.5-point favorite at Rhode Island. Louisville, 4.5-point favorite at SMU. Oh, I might have to put a shekel or two on Andy Enfield's team tonight. Can Miami of Ohio go 26-0? They're only a 2.5-point favorite at UMass. Wisconsin, who knows what it'll be by tip. Right now, they're a 1.5-point favorite at Ohio State. Iowa is home, the favorite against 9th-ranked Nebraska. And Texas Tech, looking for their 20th win of the year, 8.5-point favorite at Bobby Hurley's Arizona State.
And we only will be able to say that for another couple of weeks because when the season ends, he's going to get fired.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
I don't know how old the clip was I caught yesterday because sometimes I can't tell with TikTok, but it was Danny Hurley talking about the equity that he's built in his
Yes.
program because he was questioned about the fans coming to games, and he gave a very good answer. And he talked about going to Creighton, and it's a zoo there, and didn't even, I'm not even going to bring up Kansas, but he brought up, going to Xavier and going to Creighton and how tough it is to play there. And he wishes that there were more fans at every one of their games. And they've dubbed themselves the basketball capital of the world. And it's like, hey, if that's the case, then we should be packed for every game.
Right.
And he goes, I've built up some effing equity. And he didn't say effing.
Right.
He's 2 national championships. And he's arrogant. I get it. But I didn't even think what he said came off arrogant. It just came off as very matter of fact.
Yeah.
And how do you dispute a word he said there? I watched the whole thing and I went, man, when you're right, you're right.
I agreed with every word. And when he was talking about equity, he's like, in the last 4 years, we've won 2 natties and we've been top 5 all year this year.
Right.
Okay?
And he asked what their Ken Palm was when they got there. And his SIDs in the back, and finally tells him it was like, 100 and something.
It was like 179. He said,
Right.
So we've gone from 179 to where we are now. I think I've built up some equity.
Yeah.
Okay. And
And he's right.
Yeah. He just said, forget the non-conference games. Just in conference, we're not the toughest place to play. We're not even close. And he said, Madison Square Garden ain't Stores South anymore. He goes, there weren't a lot of our fans that could get in that building last week. That was hostile. He goes, our place ain't hostile.
I loved it. I loved everything that he said. I like him though, so I guess I'm a little partial, but he can be a horse's ass.
Absolutely.
He wasn't when he was speaking. It was just very much matter of fact. And it was almost so, David, that it seemed like the question was teed up for him. And I don't think it was, but it was, the question was asked about the fans coming to games. And he's like, oh, really? You're going to give me this opening? I'll take it.
Do you know who queued him up? Ed Cooley, the Georgetown coach. Game's over. UConn struggled with Georgetown. They won at home by like 6. Cooley, they're shaking hands, and Cooley goes, what's with the empty seats? He goes, seriously, what's going on here? And Dan's like, I don't know. And Cooley goes, I'm shocked. What's going on? So Cooley says it post-game, sitting with the UConn stuff behind him. He's sitting there going, why is this place not sold out? What's going on?
Funny thing is, as well as he's done, the UConn faithful like the women's team more than the men's team. That's just a fact.
I understand.
Talking about having a little equity build up.
Yeah. Oh, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Right.
Miller and Moulton. Seth Everett on the show tomorrow. I'm sure David will find a baseball guest. We'll dig in. We'll dig in.
Right, I will. Yeah.
Maybe the Braves. Maybe it's time to talk Braves tomorrow.
I'd love to talk Braves. We're making our training camp tours through Florida. That's what we're doing. So Braves, Twins, Rays, they're all in play. Phillies, Jays, all in play. Miller and Moulton. Hey, have a great Fat Tuesday. We'll talk tomorrow.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off